Welcome to LTMB. Let the madness begin. My name, as always, is Will Gaillard.
I'm Mike White.
My partner right here.
As always, Will Gaillard.
As always.
So you have to clarify that?
Yeah,
Make sure people know that.
You know how we used to get confused? You Will, I'm Mike.
No, we didn't get confused.
No, we didn't get confused.
There was some people in the chat.
Some people got confused, even though we did have.
Okay, so you always have to
we got to clarify.
You always got to preface
it
by saying to make sure people know that you've always been Will.
Always been Will, man, all the time.
So I'll make sure I'll say after you say that, I'm always been Mike White.
Okay, we just gotta let them know.
Gotta let them know
because sometimes people don't read, man. But hey, we are back. This is February the 12th. 2019 already. We're already into the second month. We have much to talk about today, just like any other program. We want to definitely say thank you to everybody that is watching the show tonight. Last program was obviously last week on Thursday, so many things have happened since then, and many updates we're gonna have to go over. Definitely, we are broadcasting live on YouTube and Twitch and Periscope Live. So again, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. We hope that we do have some more viewers today. We have noticed a lot of some
uptick in
subscribers. Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah. So we do hope that translates into more views for the live show. Maybe some more callers at the end.
You have a theory as to why that may have occurred?
I mean, excuse me. I talked to YouTube. Yeah, I had to converse with them about some things. Some things just weren't looking right, and it's just a coincidence that stuff started, ticking up after that. I don't know. Not drawing connections. I'm just stating the facts here. But anyway, like I said, we hope that we do have more of an audience tonight and going forward as well. What else we got to say before we get into things? Anything else?
Nah. Usually, at the beginning of the show, sometimes we try to maybe address some things that were said in the chat that we couldn't address before the live stream ended. But I can't remember if there was anything.
I don't think so. No. Well, you know what? I will say we do have some a couple of new patrons on patreon.com that we do want to shout out. That is Crystal McGinn and a user by the name of Those Shanks.
Wait. How do you remember how it's spelled?
Oh yeah. Just Those Shanks. Just like a shank.
Yo.
So we appreciate it. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the love. No doubt, man. All right, so let's get into this, okay? February 15th, that is the deadline for Congress to come to an agreement on funding the government. As you recall, the government was shut down for 35 days because of this disagreement about a border wall along the southern border. So on Monday, it was reported that there was an agreement, a tentative agreement that was made by our Congress members. It's slightly surprising because President Trump has not backed off of his demand of $5.7 billion for a border wall or a partial border wall. It's about a little bit over 200 miles of border wall that it would actually cover. But he has not backed off of that stance. So again, it is a little bit surprising that they made an agreement. So when then you look at the details of this tentative agreement, what does it contain? Well, it does not contain $5.7 billion for a border wall. It does contain $1.37 billion that can be used for barriers along the southern border wall.
So, like border security.
There's actually a stipulation that it cannot be used for a concrete border wall.
Wait. Could you tell me how much that number was again? That dollar amount to be used for border security, not a cement structure?
$1.375 billion.
$1.375 billion. Can you give me a second, man? I gotta think about this. I gotta process this.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to calculate how much more money he's getting now compared to the original deal. I'm gonna try to do this math real quick. Can you give me a second, bro?
Man, go
you
ahead.
give me a second.
Just a few seconds now because we,
got a show to do.
Yeah, we got a show, dog. You know, yeah, I give you a second. Yeah, okay. I give you a second.
Carried 5, carried 1. 2. I have a problem here, man.
What's up?
It's supposed to be bigger than this.
Yeah.
The difference is supposed to be bigger.
Yeah.
I was thinking that there was going to be like more money because we went through a record government shutdown.
35 days.
So is there something wrong with my calculations or my addition here?
No. I think you're coming up right. The numbers are what they are.
This number seems like quite familiar to me. Why does this number seem familiar to me? This funding number.
In 2018, for fiscal 2018, I believe it was the exact same amount was appropriated for border security. Yeah.
So we're back at square one, or we're back at the original agreement?
Pretty much. I mean, throughout 2018, there was talk about how much money was going to be allotted to the, to border security measures. I believe we heard numbers as high as like 1.6, maybe 1.8. I'm not sure, but it never really wavered from there. But it seems as though this agreement right here, again, this contains the number of 1.375 billion. So it just makes you kind of think here. Trump has not yet said that he will sign the agreement or if he will veto the agreement. He has not said that. He did tell reporters, quote, "I can't say I'm happy. I can't say I'm thrilled." He did say that to reporters, but again, he didn't intimate what he was going to do. But if he does go ahead and sign off on this, what did that 35 days of a partial government shutdown do then?
It looks like it didn't do nothing if this agreement is legitimate and it holds water. It would make the government shutdown look like it was pretty much for nothing. It looked like it was just like his temper tantrum that it has been described as. It looks as if it was kind of just him bluffing.
It will kind of look like that.
That's like the first word that comes to mind when I think about this. If this deal, but this deal, since this deal resembles the initial one, it does appear that this whole government shutdown, this whole threatening the state of emergency, it was a complete bluff.
And it doesn't appear that conservatives are happy about this. And you remember, before the government shutdown took place, conservatives voiced their opinions before Trump said, "Nope, you know what? No, I'm not going to sign it."
Is there one particular conservative that has been on his ass?
Yes. Before I get to her, Sean Hannity, who is, this Fox voice. He's a host on Fox News, of course, the Hannity Show. He ripped the deal to shreds, or at least this proposed deal. He said that it was a garbage compromise. And then he also said that any of these Republican Congress members who supports this deal will, quote, have to explain. They're going to have something to explain to do. So the conservative voice that you're talking about, though, is Ann Coulter.
Oh, Crypt Keeper Barbie.
Yes.
Crypt Keeper Barbie.
And ever since this shutdown controversy has taken place, and since she has noted that Trump is weak on the issue or is just blustering, that he's going to cave in, and he has already caved in, she has been going at him pretty hard. And just recently, because of this new agreement that, again, Trump hasn't indicated whether he will support or not, she said on Twitter, "Trump talks a good game on the border wall, but it's increasingly clear he's afraid to fight for it. Call this his, quote, yellow New Deal."
You know what?
It's mildly funny.
I know. She's not very funny. She tries to be very clever and witty, and she's not. But I will say, I don't normally agree with Ann Coulter. But I agree with her on that tweet.
On that tweet, yeah.
On that tweet. I don't think it's a matter of Trump being afraid. I don't think he intended to even get the wall in the first place.
Right. I don't think he saw a clear path forward on that.
Yeah, and he knew it. I think he knew that, and he had to, I guess, do all he could. I guess he had to illustrate all the visual cues of someone who was strong.
Yeah.
So he had to make himself look like he was trying hard. I don't think it was a matter of like whether he was scared or not. I think he had to look like he was fighting for something when he knew he would lose and he knew he couldn't get it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, Ann Coulter also followed up that tweet with another, which you will probably not agree with. She says, "Au contraire, Donald Trump, America will be a socialist country within 5 years if you don't build the wall."
What?
She says things.
This socialist fearmonger is getting out of control, man.
It's ridiculous, man. There's no logic to it or anything like that, but it is a talking point. It is a talking point to actually fearmonger, so they stay with it. But yeah, so we don't know. We don't know if Trump is going to, again, if he's going to back this deal or not. President Trump, he was in El Paso, Texas last night for a rally, one of his infamous rallies that he does all across the country. And he said to his crowd, quote, "Just so you know, we're building the wall anyway." So he's trying to make the case that even if Congress does not appropriate the funds that meets his demands, $5.7 billion, the wall is going to get built anyways. So if that's the case,
what was the point of, number one, you trying to kind of shoehorn 30-foot wall funding into this bill? And what was the point of the government shutdown if you can just do it anyway?
Just to negatively impact workers. Not just federal workers, but federal contractors. All of these hundreds of thousands, upwards of 1 million, past 1 million people, all of them were negatively impacted. Because what? You wanted to look like a tough guy?
Yeah. See, that's the thing. As a kind of a private citizen, a private businessman, I mean, he's limited on the amount of people he hurts by going about things that way. Now, he hurt a lot of people along the way as far as his business dealings, as illustrated by some of the lawsuits that he's faced, some of the payouts he's had to make, settlements he's had to reach. But see, he's president now. I think we talked about this even before he got elected and shortly thereafter, where like his a typical way of approaching things will not work in this environment. So it's not about him not knowing how to govern. It's just him not even understanding that you can't like use the same strategies within government that you do within business. And
the pump faking.
The pump faking, because all his whole persona is built around him talking things up, him talking things up.
And he's good at that. He's good at selling himself.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. He's very good at that. And like, if we're going to give him credit for anything, that would be it. Right. Now, whatever product he delivers, that's another issue. Yeah. Here, as president, as someone who's supposed to be able to, I guess, make, concessions and compromise with people of the opposition party and his own party, convince people of his own party that the agenda is sound. Whatever his job as president is definitely contains a different type of approach than what he was using as a businessman. And he's like, I think he is definitely seeing like the consequences of that approach right now.
So I mentioned that President Trump was in El Paso, Texas on Monday night. And again, this is at one of his rallies that he goes to around the country. And it's not surprising. First of all, this is like this effort to go to these rallies across the country. I don't think it's been seen before by a president, by a sitting president, right? But it's understandable because when you lie as much as President Trump does, you have to sell that lie to the people directly. Like Twitter is not enough. You can't just like type on Twitter and get that out to the people. You have to actually go right to them so that they feel like they're part of the process. Like they feel engaged physically there. Yeah, we're cheering Trump on. This is all of our missions, right? But second, El Paso. You went to El Paso, Texas? Isn't that funny? Because you remember, even before the State of the Union address, he was lying about El Paso. Yeah, and then during this State of the Union, he lied about El Paso, Texas, and the barrier that's there and what it does and what it's doing right now.
He was using that city as a proxy to justify his wall agenda, even though all of the data and information he was using was completely false.
Completely false. But he's there. He's there in El Paso, and he continuously sells that lie. So we have a little bit of video, and Donald Trump Jr. was in attendance as well, and he spoke. And he talked about how great it was seeing young conservatives in attendance.
You know what I love? I love seeing some young conservatives because I know it's not easy. Okay? Keep up that fight. Bring it to your schools. You don't have to be indoctrinated by these loser teachers that are trying to sell you on socialism from birth. You don't have to do it.
Indoctrinated into socialism from birth by teachers.
Now, I wasn't really paying attention to the makeup of the audience, but it was a mix of, you know, adults and some young people. Mm-hmm. Right after he said that, they cheered. Mm-hmm. They cheered. Mm-hmm. What are the chances that they actually took what he said and checked it against what they actually experience in real life?
What's the chances?
What are the chances?
I'll put that number as 0.
They just cheered.
Comfortably 0.
So even though their kids weren't experiencing what he alleged, mm-hmm. and whatever teenagers were there, they weren't experiencing what he alleged, they still cheered.
Yes.
Like the top economists, whoever, you know, you might think those economists are, it actually doesn't matter what kind of side they fall on. Most of them have gone to, you know, elite colleges, mm-hmm. Ivy League, or if it's not Ivy League, it's schools that have good business programs. Even schools that don't have business programs, it applies to them too. Most of your economists go to these schools, and for the most part, they are not required to learn anything other than the capitalist kind of framework mm-hmm. behind the economy. Richard Wolff, I was watching the video yesterday. A lot of you know who Richard Wolff is. He was talking about his experience going through college, and even before college, that he never received an assignment, or he never was instructed by his teachers or professors to challenge capitalism. Not once. Not once. So what are the chances that we live in the system of education that is doing that? What are the chances of
Zero.
that?
Zero.
I know. I mean, we both came up in the public school system.
Right.
Did we learn anything about, you know, Karl Marx or socialism?
Barely. Barely, man. Nobody is professing what he thinks is going on. Like what the state of affairs of this country and education in this country, it's not what he is shaping the situation to be. Even if you talk about these like prominent leftists, Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are they promoting socialism? Nope, they sure aren't. They're actually promoting capitalism, but capitalism where we're actually taking care of people. Like we're allowing people to succeed. Not the people at the top, but the people at the bottom. We're allowing them to succeed. We're trying to do something about money and politics and corruption. We're actually trying to do something about the system that disenfranchises so many people across this country. That's still capitalism.
Have you heard Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez push any agenda that would suggest that workers, the people, own the means of production? like people own, like the community owns the factories and the farms and everything like that, manufacturing facilities, farms, any of that. Have you heard Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez push that?
No.
Have you heard Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez push an agenda that primarily centers around worker co-ops, worker cooperatives? I've heard her mention it like in passing, but I don't think that's like a part of her larger agenda. At least she has not elaborated or kind of spoken about it in detail. So I think like people have like this very misguided idea of what socialism is. Or
it's very like misguided.
anytime the government does anything that's socialism, which that is not socialism.
No, we have socialist type policies, which we have always had. Well, not always, but we have had them for several decades. And people that are actually on the side of this argument where they're saying, yes, socialism is creeping into the nation. If you're on that side of the argument, there are lots of people that actually benefit from these social programs. Actually, most of us, if not all of us, benefit from social programs because there are countless numbers of them.
So, like I guess, what would be one? What would be one?
Man, we could go down public parks, bridges, roads, police departments, fire departments, schools, libraries.
I think the roads is probably like a good one to mention because that's like infrastructure. That's infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so, like, I guess by the standards at which people who are like vehemently against socialism would have it, by those standards, like, there's certain people that don't deserve to have roads go by their homes. They don't deserve to, you know, be able to even have the privilege of using roads because, you know, they don't contribute to society as much.
Now, if that's your talking point, be consistent though. We've heard that kind of talking point from like extreme libertarians, where they're against all taxation. Taxation is theft. We don't want any kind of like formalized government. People can just take care of it. If that's your talking point, again, stick with that talking point. Don't promote capitalism because no, that's not what we're talking about here. So just be consistent. Anyway, it's a great scare, man. Socialism. Ooh, it's coming to get you. All right, so let's move on. All right. Another Democratic Congress member has entered the 2020 presidential race. Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota made her announcement on Sunday in the snow. So we have a little bit of video from that announcement.
I stand before you as the granddaughter of an iron ore miner, as the daughter of a teacher and a newspaperman, as the first woman elected to the United States Senate from the state of Minnesota, to announce my candidacy for President of the United States.
So,
the abominable Klobuchar.
In the snow, man. In the falling snow. Very cold weather.
That was very I don't know. That was a visual.
It was.
Like,
it was.
That was an interesting visual. It was very
cinematic.
It was very cinematic.
It could have been straight out of a movie.
It could have been. I know there's nothing she could do about the weather.
No.
And, you know.
But man, it definitely definitely benefited her in terms of optics.
Yes, it did. It did look like something that was just kind of Hollywood produced.
Timely. Just right. Just right. Klobuchar 2020. How you feeling about Klobuchar 2020, man? How you feeling about it? How you feeling?
I'm not feeling anything. I'm not feeling anything. I'm trying to figure out, like, how she felt that she was a viable candidate and why she felt she was a viable candidate. So how and why? Like,
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like how did this, like, thought process play out? And, like, how did this thought process play out with her advisors in determining her viability to run for president? Like, what are they looking at? That's my first question. Like, what are they looking at? What kind of numbers are they looking at? So, because running for president is both expensive and time consuming and energy consuming.
Well, so one, and we've talked about this before, you have to look at where she comes from. She comes from Minnesota. Minnesota is one of those Midwestern states that Hillary Clinton failed to carry in 2016. And a lot of that is suspected to be because she failed to do a lot of campaigning there. So we went to Donald Trump. So Senator Amy Klobuchar, she has won her elections by wide margins. She's in her third term as a United States Senator. And she does build herself as somebody that gets things done and can get things done through bipartisanship as well. While making her presidential announcement, Klobuchar stated that in her first 100 days in office, she would, quote, reinstate the clean power rules and gas mileage standards and put forth sweeping legislation to invest in green jobs and infrastructure, end quote. She also said that she rejoined the International Climate Agreement on day one. So she is... You can say that she's firmly on the side of, we have to do something about climate change. I believe she supports the Green New Deal. So that's one of her, I guess, progressive issues. On most other issues, you wouldn't really say that she's progressive. Now, in normal Democratic, kind of positions, if you're talking about gun control, if you're talking about abortion, she falls in line right with that, that mainstay position with the Democratic Party. But on other issues, controversial issues, Klobuchar has historically stayed away from them. So this is from Vox. She hasn't signed on to Senator Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All or $15 minimum wage proposal. She supports universal health care and reducing drug prices more generally. Her views on trade are more middle of the road. Her answer to college affordability wasn't making tuition free, but rather a student loan refinancing proposal called the RED Act. On immigration, she was part of a bipartisan group of senators who tried to reach a compromise with Trump. And as Sanders, Warren, Harris, and Booker compete with progressive bills to combat inequality, Klobuchar is touting a proposal she sponsored with Republican Senator Ben Sasse that would allow people to use tax advantage savings accounts to pay for educational expenses like skills training. Again, on a host of progressive issues, well, not issues, but on a host of progressive proposals, she is basically silent. And the thing about using like tax advantage savings accounts and repurposing them for other needs, like skills training, stuff like that. That's your proposal to do something about education. You know that not everybody has tax advantage savings accounts, right? You know that a lot of poor people don't really make use of that, right? Can't really make use of that, right? That's tone deaf.
Well, I think what people are touting as some sort of strength is actually pointing to a weakness. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like this whole idea that she can work with the other side, she can compromise, she can reach across the aisle. What that tells me is she has no backbone, and kind of her position on those matters kind of illustrate that. She really has no backbone, and she's kind of trying to focus on specific, I guess, progressive issues in order to get her foot in the door.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It just seems like a kind of a pandering type approach. Like, hey, I'm going to make note and give attention to these things, which I know progressives are like, just to get my foot in the door. Mm-hmm. But all these things over here, I don't really care about those things.
She had an interview. She appeared on Good Morning America on Monday. And she had an interview with George Stephanopoulos, and she listed climate change, taking on tech companies, and lowering prescription drug prices as the primary focus of her candidacy. Now, I get the climate change. I get that as being a very important issue to focus on. That should be at the top of the list. One of the issues at the top of the list. It could be the very top issue on the list, right? Lowering prescription drug prices and taking on tech companies, talking about privacy matters and things like that. Those are the primary issues. I'm sorry. Look, I don't want to nitpick, but then I feel like I have to, because criminal justice reform, that doesn't supersede these other issues.
Basically, you're talking about like You're using the
money
law,
in politics.
You're using the law of omission here.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out like why that there are more impactful issues that are not there.
This is the primary focus again.
And again, if she's trying to sell herself as a candidate that is going to fulfill the wishes of a progressive base, it really doesn't make sense why she wouldn't kind of focus on those other issues that have more impact. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it does make it look like she chose the kind of the easiest route, or she chose the things that is not going to have her
not really
backed into a corner
yeah.
too often. You see what I'm saying? Because
right.
if you choose to combat those other issues, those more important or more impactful issues, then you're going to back yourself into a corner more often. It seems like she just chose these things as kind of like the easy way out.
Yeah. So on other issues, Klobuchar, she supports allowing states to legalize marijuana, but she has not supported descheduling marijuana at the federal level or supporting, legalization at the federal level.
That's half-assed.
Half-assed. Criminal justice reform, I believe, she supported the First Step Act, which was recently just passed, but in terms of other measures, don't really know where she stands. She did support the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2019.
Wait. See, at least Kamala Harris and Tulsi Gabbard changed their vote.
Yeah.
Because they knew they were running.
Oh, yeah, she supported it. She
could at least, just vote nay on that just because she's running for president.
Yeah.
But she didn't even do that. She didn't even she didn't even want to give the appearance.
Now, she did back the, that effort in the U.S. Senate to end our involvement in the Yemen war. She did support that. I can't remember if she supported it at the beginning of 2018 or not.
You wonder if she kind of supported the resolution after the Khashoggi thing?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that. I have to look into that. But okay, so Klobuchar, she has also distanced herself from corporate donations, and she made that clear after she did announce her presidential run in 2020. And she said that she will not accept any corporate PAC money for her presidential campaign. Now, look, that's good, okay? That's really good. Again, we've talked about in 2016, if Hillary Clinton just did that simple thing and was like, I'm not taking any corporate PAC money, I think she would have coasted to the nomination. I think Bernie Sanders definitely would have got a lot of support, but I don't think it would have been anywhere near what he did get, because money in politics is a huge issue. Even if you didn't believe what Hillary Clinton was selling, just the fact that she is distancing herself from that type of corruption, that would be a bold move, right? So I like that these candidates that are running in 2020, Booker, Gillibrand, Harris, and now Klobuchar, they're distancing themselves from that corporate PAC money. But there's a big but, okay? There's a big but, at least as it concerns Klobuchar. Again, she's a 3-term senator. She's in her 3rd term right now. She just got reelected in the midterms, 2018. This is from CNBC. Of the $8 million Klobuchar raised in the last election cycle, $1.9 million came from PACs that represent industries ranging from agriculture to lobbying. So just last year, just a few months ago, okay, you were taking that corporate money. You were eating all that corporate money up. $1.9 million, right? But now that you want to run for president, you feel like it's not appropriate?
Oh, no. I don't think that's the right word. I don't think that's the right word to use. You said she doesn't feel like it's appropriate.
Okay. Doesn't look.
Yeah. See,
doesn't look like it's appropriate.
I think it's clear, based on money she's already taken, that she doesn't mind taking corporate. She doesn't mind taking corporate money.
Doesn't mind at all.
So I don't think it's a matter of feeling. I think it's a matter of how she understands how it looks.
Right.
She understands how it looks. How you going to take the money, and then once you have the money, say, you know what?
I'm running for higher office now.
I'm gonna show some integrity by not taking any more money. But here's the thing: if it was about integrity, she would just say, yo, I've taken corporate money in the past, and I thought that was beneficial. I felt that me taking corporate money, would be able. I would be able to, further the interests of the people. Some lie, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I thought that doing them favors would be good for y'all. And I figured that wasn't the right route to go, and I don't think I'm gonna do that anymore. So, you know, do the whole turning over a new leaf thing.
She didn't do that.
See, if she would have did that, it would still been fake.
Yes.
But if you already took money and we can find that out.
Just recently.
Why not just kind of set up this little backstory for yourself? You know what I'm saying? But it just seems very disingenuous to kind of like claim this like
moral high ground.
Yeah, like you have all this integrity because you're not taking money, but you just took a big...
Exactly.
You just took bags of money. You just took bags of money.
Yeah,
and to me, I think that's...
She's fake, man.
I think it's an empty promise anyway.
Yeah.
Even if it's genuine, I think it's an empty promise because once you get the job, what does that promise mean?
Right.
Like if that promise actually means something on the campaign trail, in order for it to mean something once you get in office, regardless of what that office is, you would kind of have to maintain that standard not just for yourself, but anyone that is responsible for constructing legislation. And if you were in a position where you have to sign that legislation, like as a governor or as a president, and you were really principled about money in politics, you would not even have a deal or a bill come to your table to sign if the constructors take corporate money.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It wouldn't just be about you.
Does the money that she has already received from corporate interests, does it have an expiration date? You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, apparently it does. Apparently it's like, say, like, this money, even though it's in your bank account or even though it's in your campaign's bank account,
Right.
You know, at X date, it will not influence you. It won't influence you. Even though it's still there, even though you can use it, it won't influence you.
So if she doesn't take any money during this election cycle for this campaign, does that mean other money that she has already received, does that mean that it's like null and void now? Like, oh yeah, we can forget that. We can forget that handshake agreement that we had. Forget all of that.
Again, the only way that this would be kind of a genuine appeal for her to make is if she gave the damn money back.
Ooh, but I don't think she's gonna do that.
Oh, hell no.
All right. Oh, you know, and you know what? On her website, because we do like to hear people's platforms.
I was about to ask you.
Yeah, we want to hear about people's platforms.
Because after Kamala Harris announced,
right,
we went to her website and we noticed some things that were missing.
Yes, very empty.
But what was very visible thoh?
Oh, the donation button.
Okay. All right, that was because Kamala.
Yeah.
All right.
Now
what about Booker? What about Book?
Booker.
Same thing.
Same
thing. Just kind of nothing very definitive about his agenda.
No, just very general.
Just very general type. Meet me. This is Corey.
About me. This and that. Yeah.
Okay, so
we did talk about Marianne Williamson.
Yeah, we did. We did talk about
her. Now
hers.
she had a very lengthy.
She writes. She writes for a living. So hers was like.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to actually get to know her and what her campaign is about, man, just all these different issues just right there and much information about them, right?
Okay, so what about her? Klobuchar.
What about Klobuchar? Okay, so this is the first thing that you see if you go to Amy Klobuchar's campaign website for 2020. Splash page that pops right up.
That's the first thing you see?
It's the first thing you see.
And like, I like how she has the big font. Amy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just
Amy
font.
for America.
And she
contribute.
And of course that font is green.
Oh yeah.
I think both green and red can kind of, I guess, influence the same action. Red kind of influence people to stop,
right?
And stop and then donate. And then the green is like go.
Green for go.
Green for go.
Green for money.
So
could be green for the environment.
Green.
It could be green for the environment.
You're stretching, William. You're stretching.
But if you click off of that, then then the rest of the website pops up, and that's where I was actually looking for some core issues, something, because like I said, she talked about with George Stephanopoulos the issues that are going to be, I guess, the focus of her candidacy, and I didn't even see any information about that. So there's nothing there as in terms of a platform. So maybe in the coming days there will be, but for right now, I doubt it, because again, she has historically stayed away from these like hot button type of issues. And I don't see that changing. Now, it will change. It will change when it's forced to be changed. When she's on the debate stage, then it may change if those kind of questions come up. She will be forced to actually put herself in one camp or the other.
You think that... See, Kamala's a different story for me. But like Booker, I think, even though he's running for president, he's still running for his seat.
Right.
So I always had this suspicion that this is some sort of kind of branding exercise for Corey. Now, like, I won't say the same thing for Klobuchar, but like, if you're saying that they're not going to be more definitive, whether it be vocally or on their campaign page, about establishing some sort of set agenda or a detailed agenda so people can actually see it, that kind of suggests that they want to see how much money they can raise first.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that suggests to me. I'm not saying that's the case, but that's what it seems like. They want to see how much money they can raise first.
Without having to admit
anything.
Yeah.
And they want to see how far that goes. And if that goes very far, and they don't have to kind of be definitive about anything, and they can raise a lot of money, do you really think that they're going to be more forthcoming? Or just, I wouldn't say less, because you can't be really less forthcoming, but do you think they're going to be more forthcoming? Or do you think they're going to continue with their whole, like, their kind of vague stances?
Speaking in generalities.
No,
it's going to continue.
I think that's why we don't see any thing on Cory Booker's page, Kamala Harris's page, or Amy Klobuchar's page, because they're just trying to test the waters to see how much money they can get first before they have to be forthright about an agenda.
Additionally, switching the subjects a little bit, on Saturday, I believe, the day before Klobuchar officially entered the 2020 Democratic nomination race, Senator Elizabeth Warren officially announced that she was running for president in 2020. Now, this was long awaited because she did announce that she was forming the exploratory committee. So it was like, again, people expected that it was happening, but on Saturday she made that official. But seems like her campaign is, or her candidacy is,
already facing
Yeah.
some high hurdles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think it can only get worse as that season progresses, and as the primaries, the debates come into season. Yeah. And as election day comes into season, even if she ever makes it to that point, there's the recent whatever the thing
the card,
the
like
registration card that got shared.
It just like 2016. If she ran in 2016, I think that would have been a race. That would have been a race, because that would have made three top candidates: Bernie Sanders, her, and Hillary Clinton. And really, Warren had way more clout than Bernie Sanders at the time, so she would have had a better. I think she would have maybe had a better chance at actually defeating Clinton. Maybe we don't know. I mean, Bernie Sanders definitely did galvanize people, and he did definitely get a following, but Warren had the bigger name. In 2020, as we go towards that, doesn't look like she has the support of many progressives. She's not going to have like the most support from the establishment voters. So where is she, like, where does she make that headway? Like, where does she, like, make a name for herself in this race?
You mentioned that, she didn't run the last election. And, like, she didn't run at a time where people were pushing her to run. Right. It seems like less people are pushing her to run this time than last time.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, as a politician, to not kind of take advantage of that energy at that time tells me something. And notice how many Democratic candidates that have kind of issued their, attentions of running for president, or just whether it be officially or unofficially, right now, this early, compared to 2016.
Exactly.
Now, obviously, maybe there's another factor involved with, with Trump. But I just think it's amazing how there were not this many people stepping out to run for president when Hillary Clinton was running. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Senator Warren reminds me of Matt Leinart. Reminds me of Matt Leinart.
You got to explain who Matt Leinart is, because a lot of our viewers may not watch football, sports.
Yeah, Matt Leinart was, back in the day, some years ago, he was a star QB for the USC Trojans. And after his junior year, many people thought he was going to announce and go to the NFL. I mean, his stock could not be higher.
He won the Heisman, right?
He won the Heisman. He was, he was looked at as a phenomenal QB. He said nope. He said he was going to resist those urges. He was going to stay in college for one more year, you know, because he just wanted to eat all that up.
He sounded like he liked the college life. Right. He liked the atmosphere.
Yeah. So he didn't go, and he stayed one more year. Didn't win the national title. He went to the draft, and he was not picked number one, which he almost certainly would have been picked number one the year before. I think he ended up, 10th or something like that. Yeah. But his career never really took off. It's just he didn't hear the calling. He didn't hear the calling when it was appropriate. And that's like Senator Elizabeth Warren. 2016 was her time, and she just didn't do it.
She didn't hear it, or maybe she ignored it.
Either or. I think it was a severe misstep. I think it was a severe misstep.
You think they...
she would have got a lot of support in 2016.
Maybe, but I mentioned Hillary Clinton for a reason, and I think there was a lot of people or a lot of potential candidates that kind of took a back seat because they just assumed that she would be the victor, that she would be the Democratic nominee. So they took a back seat. So I'm just wondering, now all of a sudden this year, there are people who are sticking their chest out and thinking that they can make a run. Why now? Why now?
All right, so let's move on. All right. Freshman Representative Ilhan Omar is in trouble. The trouble stems from Representative Omar calling out money in politics and how it influences our elected representatives. Now, she wasn't just talking in generalities about money in politics. It was about a specific branch of money in politics, a specific source of money in politics. So it all started with a tweet from journalist Glenn Greenwald. So we have that tweet that we can show you. And he said GOP leader Kevin McCarthy threatens punishment for Ilhan and Rashida Tlaib over their criticisms of Israel. It's stunning how much time U.S. Political leaders spend defending a foreign nation, even if it means attacking free speech rights of Americans. And this, of course, is talking about Rashida Tlaib and Representative Omar and their support of BDS. Boycott, divest, and sanctions. So in response to that tweet, she retweeted it and she captioned it with "It's all about the Benjamins, baby." Yeah. So I can't get it out of my head now. But anyway, it's all about the Benjamins. Of course, she's stating that it's all about money. That's why I guess these different political leaders are, I guess, okay with anti-BDS legislation. They're taking money in. So then a journalist named Batya Ungar Sargon, she directed a tweet at Ilhan Omar, Representative Omar, and it stated, "Would love to know who Ilhan Omar thinks is paying American politicians to be pro-Israel, though I think I can guess. Bad form, Congresswoman. That's the second anti-Semitic trope you've tweeted." So then in response to that, Ilhan Omar said AIPAC, which of course is the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee.
American Israeli. Is American Israeli. I think that's important. It doesn't say American Jew. No,
it says American Israeli. And we all know, of course, AIPAC is a very powerful lobbying organization. They have that event pretty much every year, especially in election cycles where politicians do show up and speak. But yeah, we all know that it's a very powerful lobbying organization. So just like that, a bomb went off, and it was controversy for Representative Omar. So freshman Democratic Representative Max Rose of New York said, quote, "Congresswoman Omar's statements are deeply hurtful to Jews, including myself." House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said, quote, "Anti-Semitic tropes have no place in the halls of Congress. It is dangerous for Democratic leadership to stay silent on this reckless language." Democratic House leaders Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, James Clyburn, Ben Ray Lujan, Hakeem Jeffries, and Catherine Clark all said in a joint statement, quote, "Congresswoman Omar's use of anti-Semitic tropes and prejudicial accusations about Israel supporters is deeply offensive. We condemn these remarks and we call upon Congresswoman Omar to immediately apologize for these hurtful comments. So, after all of that pushback, Representative Omar felt the need to issue an apology, and this is what she said. Anti-Semitism is real, and I am grateful for Jewish allies and colleagues who are educating me on the painful history of anti-Semitic tropes. My intention is never to offend my constituents or Jewish Americans as a whole. We have to always be willing to step back and think through criticism, just as I expect people to hear me when others attack me for my identity. This is why I unequivocally apologize. Now, do you agree that she should have apologized?
No, I think the way this situation played out actually proves Omar's point. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about like how everyone kind of circled up to come against her.
Yeah,
You know
quick,
what I'm saying?
quick, fast, and in a hurry,
Quick.
man.
Like from that point to the point where she had to issue her apology, which looked like she was being held hostage.
Oh yeah.
Even to the point where our president requested that she step down as a representative. Like, to me, I just don't like the straw manning of like what she was trying to illustrate. She did not say people who support Israel. She did not say that. It wasn't about someone who supports Israel. There was context behind that support, that there's a monetary relationship between AIPAC and those that support Israel. That is not saying merely people who support Israel, you know, need to be admonished. That's what people are making it out to be. The common pushback I've heard or I've seen issued in this situation in opposition to Omar's comments is that they are insulting because it suggests that there's a monetary relationship between certain representatives, and these representatives, you know, don't support Israel, or they support Israel only because of that monetary relationship. Right. They don't support Israel just because they want to support Israel. That's kind of what's seen as insulting about her comments, that, well, you know, they support Israel out of the goodness of their hearts. You know, they support Israel objectively and not because of a monetary relationship. Now, we already know what kind of political system we live in. Now, why isn't that kind of a reasonable thing to highlight, that there are representatives out there whose decisions are influenced because they're being lobbied in a certain way? Why is that controversial? In this case, when it's not controversial in any other case, you know what I'm saying? Like, why? Just looking at the context of how we criticize politics, how most people on the left criticize politics in general, why is it somehow an issue to highlight something that is highlighted on a daily basis with other lobbying groups? So basically, she called out money in politics. That was really what this whole thing had to do with. She called out money in politics, but it was specific. It was about AIPAC. Okay? Now, there are definitely some anti-Semitic tropes that are around, and we've heard many of them, of course. I mean, they've been around for ages, and one of them is about money. How Jewish people run the world. They run the nation. You know, they run these different industries. They have all the money, so they're making these decisions, and the real people, you know, making all these decisions, and all these other people are puppets, you know, doing their bidding. That is an anti-Semitic trope. That's not exactly what that's not what Representative Omar was talking about. Again, she was talking about money in politics and how lobbying and even the money that is given to these members of Congress, these candidates, can be definitely troubling. There's another part of her statement that I want to read as well. The other part says, at the same time, I reaffirm the problematic role of lobbyists in our politics, whether it be AIPAC, the NRA, or the fossil fuel industry. It's gone on too long, and we must be willing to address it. So, understand that little short excerpt of her statement said the same thing that she said in those just little bit of words, talking about it's all about the Benjamins, baby, and then AIPAC. It's about lobbying. It's about money in politics. So
this shouldn't have been a controversial issue, but right away, since she's talking about AIPAC and she's talking about money and politics, it's deemed anti-Semitic.
What other group did she mention?
She talked about the NRA, and she also talked about the fossil fuel industry.
Oh, okay. So next thing you're going to tell me is that the NRA donates to politicians so that they'll oppose gun control, right? That's the next thing you'll tell me.
The journalist that responded directly to Representative Omar, and again, her name is Batya Ungar Sargon. She wrote an article and proclaimed, quote, AIPAC's influence comes not from money, but from the fact that politicians wish to be viewed as pro-Israel. So all the money that AIPAC uses to lobby Congress does nothing. It absolutely does nothing whatsoever, right? So if I read that statement, I can change it up a little bit to read the NRA's influence comes not from money, but from the fact that politicians wish to be viewed as pro-gun. I could also say the oil and gas industry's influence from not money, but from the oil and gas's influence comes not from money, but from the fact that politicians wish to be viewed as pro-fossil fuel.
You're putting it in perspective. You're putting it in perspective, William. But let's just like think about like the outlook of most of our representatives and how that outlook plays out. I guess in the form of legislation, in the form of who they look out for first. Right. For the most part, right? For the most part, who do our representatives look out for?
For the most part?
For the most part.
They're donors.
Donors, like in general, those in society who already have power and who are already privileged.
Right.
We can kind of see this playing out on a daily basis. Now, obviously, some of these things don't apply to both parties, but I don't care. But, you know, we talk about it on the show all the time. We talk about those things. Like we talk about gerrymandering and voter suppression. We have representatives that support that. They don't care that there are certain members of our society that are disenfranchised. What about that Protect and Serve Act? What did that do? That's a one example of them affording protections to an already protected class, an already privileged class, right. An already powerful class. What about the Tax Cut and Jobs Act? What did that do? That extended, a more benefits, monetary privileges, kind of a monetary, I guess, advantage to people who are already...
And to widen that wealth gap?
Yeah, to people who are already privileged, already powerful. So at every turn, they are always advocating for people who are, for the most part, who are already in privileged positions, who are already powerful, who are already protected.
So they do more for those people than they will ever do.
This is like...
For people that actually need the most help.
This is a constant thing we talk about every day. This is the kind of like the habitual nature of, our representatives. Now, we know that's the case and we talk about it all the time. So what are the chances that these same people have it right on Israel? Somehow they magically become politically objective all of a sudden? They have a history and a habit at always protecting those in power. They have a history and a habit of kind of consolidating power to those at the top. So you are telling me that they are somehow objective and they have, all the right ideas and attitudes about this particular issue.
Right. And the money does not influence them whatsoever.
Yeah, because my thing is, here's the thing. Why would there need to be a monetary relationship if you just want to be on the right side of something?
You just want to be a representative in society.
You can support Israel without having a monetary relationship with a lobbying group, can't you? Like, why do you have to have that monetary relationship to advocate for a country, or actually advocate for anything, or just even voice your support? Because you can do that without a monetary relationship, right, Will?
Nah, man. Obviously, what AIPAC is doing is essentially they're just flushing the money down the toilet, and it has absolutely no impact on these Congress members or these candidates. Now, look, if we want to be official here, okay, AIPAC does not directly donate or contribute to candidates. At least that's what's official, okay? We know there's dark money in politics, so we can't be sure of anything. but officially they don't directly contribute to candidates. Now, but does this just concern AIPAC? Are we to believe that AIPAC does not coordinate with other like pro-Israel groups at all? Are we seriously going to think that AIPAC is not involved at all with the contributions made by other pro-Israel groups to congressional members? Because there are other pro-Israel groups that make contributions, millions of dollars of contributions to congressional candidates and these elected officials. So again, the subject is money and politics. If it's an issue for the NRA, if it's an issue for the private healthcare industry, if it's an issue for fossil fuel, military contractors, if it's an issue for all these other organizations, then why the hell would it not be an issue for a pro-Israel lobbying group that spends millions of dollars each year to lobby for Israel?
I guess because their lobbying is steeped in something that's more altruistic. I guess that's the assumption. But I don't think that Omar's comments suggest that she was saying that Jews secretly control politics for their own gain.
Nah.
All she said was that AIPAC uses its financial resources to influence pro-Israel politicians. That's all she said. And it's not Jewish money.
No.
It's not Jewish money. It's specifically right-wing money. And it's designed to promote a particularly noxious agenda. And I think people look at it that way. They just look at it as all money that is kind of directed towards advocating for Israel is automatically like inherently Jewish and not necessarily based on a particular right-wing agenda.
Well, look, the agenda of Israel definitely is right-wing because they have that right-wing government. Now, the money that is being lobbied, towards the, United States Congress, I believe most Jews in the country support Democratic candidates, and it's overwhelmingly as well. So it's not even a thing of like, if this is a left-wing tactic or a right-wing tactic. Republicans and Democrats alike support the state of Israel, and they often do it unconditionally as well. So, I'm not going to get tied up in, if it's a partisan issue. No, it doesn't seem to be. It's a pro-Israel issue. But like you said, it's not a Jewish money issue. It's not one of those tropes whatsoever. So you did mention that President Donald Trump, he said something about Representative Omar, and so we have a clip of that.
Congressman Omar is terrible, what she said. And I think she should either resign from Congress or she should certainly resign from the House Foreign Affairs Committee. What she said is so deep-seated in her heart that her lame apology, and that's what it was lame, and she didn't mean a word of it, was just not appropriate. I think she should resign from Congress, frankly. But at a minimum, she shouldn't be on committees, or certainly that committee.
Interesting. That seems to be like, she seems to be, I don't know, that seems like a high standard to be held to. That seems like a very high standard, and especially coming from that dude. I mean, this is the same dude that used a fixer to pay off a mistress and most likely conspired with a media outlet to bury the story. This is the same dude that is most likely in violation of the Emoluments Clause. This is the same dude that disparages immigrants or certain immigrants as murderers and rapists. This is the same dude that wants to ban transgenders from the military. Mm-hmm. This is the same dude that before the so-called North Korea talked about blowing them off the map.
He said that.
You see what I'm saying? So like we can go through a whole host of things that kind of he has said and kind of how he was, I don't even want to use the word offensive, but he uses kind of offensive tropes to justify his political agenda. But yet somebody merely bringing up money in politics, members of Congress, just pointing out, how members of Congress could be influenced by monetary contributions or a monetary relationship with pro-lobbying groups such as AIPAC. bringing that up, that's a bridge too far.
Yeah, and she should resign.
And she should resign because of it.
He said that it's deep-seated in her heart. You know, he said that it was a lame apology. You know, I'm disappointed that she felt the need to apologize.
Yeah.
But again, at the end of that statement that we read off, she said essentially the same thing. So it's like she felt the need to publicly apologize, but say the same thing that she was trying to convey on Twitter. This is the same guy, all the things that you read, this is the same guy that was he was an integral figure in the whole birther movement. This is the same guy that he wanted to convict the Central Park Five, even though they were proved to be innocent. This is the same guy that retweets neo-Nazis. This is the same guy that said there were both sides when it was in Charlottesville, that murder. Yeah, there were both sides. There were nice people on both sides, good people on both sides. Like, at least she did apologize. And again, I don't even agree with the apology, but at least she did that. This guy right here, President Trump, does he care about offending others? He does it constantly. Does he even care to apologize that he offends? No, because he's a bigot. He's a racist. So him interjecting in this matter? No, stay silent.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting that he's trying to like kind of tone police somebody else.
You should resign? You know what? I might sacrifice Representative Omar and if you and your whole gang resign from out of office, because we do have to remember that Mike Pence, he supported conversion therapy. Remember? Yeah, get all you out of office. Yeah, just get up out of office. We might actually sacrifice Representative Omar, that one spot, if your whole gang of misfits and corrupt individuals gets out as well. If we're gonna be, if this is the standard here, if this is the standard, then a lot of people have to go, including Representative Steve King too.
I was about to say that's the first person that came to mind, but like just a few months ago, Trump was pretty much, I wouldn't say devaluing, but pretty much dismissing, I guess, the seriousness of Khashoggi's death at the hands of Saudi prince. He pretty much like just said that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like the death of a journalist doesn't matter. The death of a journalist at the hands of one of our allies doesn't matter because we have business deals with them.
That's correct. They're a strong ally.
That's a morally stand-up guy right there. That's a morally stand-up guy. Pretty much offering coverage for them.
Yeah.
That's a morally stand-up guy trying to tone police Omar. That's the kind of guy that's trying to kind of check her.
He's just
that's
using.
a joke. It's a joke.
He's able to use this because it came out and there was so much pushback. There was so much criticism about Representative Omar's comments on Twitter, and he knows that everybody else is with him, or most of the people that are in Congress are with him. Yeah, this is bad. This is anti-Semitic tropes. Yeah, I'm gonna use this issue. I'm definitely gonna use this issue, and that's all he does.
As far as base. You know what I'm saying?
He has no moral compass or anything like that.
As far as base, which is interesting because you brought up Charlottesville, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, him saying that, you know, it's both sides and both sides are at fault. But, you know, like, I think it's important to highlight, like, what one of those sides was. Mm-hmm. It was the Jews will not replace us side.
But he's comfortable with that.
But he's comfortable with that.
Oh, yeah,
side.
He's comfortable with that.
So that's what kind of renders his whole response a bit, like, disingenuous because he says there's good people on the side, or on that side, white supremacist side, white supremacists that are anti-Jewish, or actually anti-Semitic. Mm-hmm. But he's okay with that.
Yes. Like, it's more like, stay silent, man, but you know we can't. You know we can't. All right, moving on. Let's go to VA, man. Oh, my.
That ain't done yet, man?
It ain't done, man. I wish it was, but it's not done, man. It's not done. It's not done. All right, let's first we'll go to the Virginia governor, Ralph Northam. All right. It's been a tumultuous week for Virginia Governor Ralph Northam. Recently, Northam's 1984 medical school yearbook was found to contain a racist picture on his personal page. It featured two individuals dressed in blackface and a KKK costume. After initially apologizing for it, Northam changed course and said that it wasn't him in the picture and that it must have been a yearbook error. He has refused many calls to resign, and on Sunday, he sat down for an interview with CBS's Gayle King. This is a clip from that interview.
I know this has been a very difficult week for you in the state of Virginia, so where would you like to begin?
Well, it has been a difficult week, and you know, if you look at Virginia's history, we're now at the 400-year anniversary. Just 90 miles from here, in 1619, the first indentured servants from Africa landed on our shores in Old Point Comfort, what we call now Fort Monroe. And while
also known as slavery.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know.
Yo, this dude is the real life version of Can't Get Right.
Wow.
He keeps punching himself in his face, putting his own foot you know where.
Yo, I love how she kind of low-key corrected him and just kind of like just kept it very smooth and moved on.
She was like
also known as slavery. And he was like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. I think he was like, first of all, I don't know what he was building up to, but what did that have to do with her question? You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand.
She just said, where you want to start?
It's
been a very difficult week for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you want to start?
Like, again, a very difficult week based on certain circumstances. Like, I don't know how it was going to end because it looked like she kind of shut it down from the beginning. But, like, I don't even like the way it began. He was going to, like, talk about some sort of, I guess, of course he had to go to some sort of slavery reference. Some sort of anecdote about slavery in Virginia's history, because it seems like he's trying to make himself look kind of sensitive to that, I guess, harsh history that Virginia has, because he himself is facing allegations that, I guess, illustrate a bit of racial insensitivity. So of course he has to somehow like I would mask that by talking about some historical fact about slavery, but he used the word indentured servitude. Now, I don't know where he was coming from, because yes, there are some, slaves that came over here that were referred to as indentured servants for a reason, because there were some slaves that got baptized off the coast, and they weren't supposed to be slaves. So they kind of gave them the name of indentured servants. It was some stupid law to where if you were baptized, you weren't supposed to be a slave. But then if you were of African descent, you were essentially supposed to be a slave. So in a lot of cases, they baptized some of these slaves, and when they came over, there was a little conundrum because they wanted to follow the law. So in order to follow the law, they just called them indentured servants, but they were still slaves. Now, I could be a little rusty on that, but I'm assuming that that's what he was getting at. I don't know if that's what he was getting at.
But usually when you use the phrase indentured servant, you're talking about people that actually came here willingly, and they were going to, I guess, work off, they were going to work in slavery for a certain amount of time, and then they were going to work off, the time that they had to serve, and then they're going to be granted their freedom. That's what indentured servitude means. Slavery was something completely different. Slavery was, we're going to kidnap you black people. We're going to bring you here. There is no getting out of slavery. No, we're going to force you to be enslaved for the rest of your life. If you run away, we will kill you. We're going to sell your family off. We're going to rape you, murder you. We're going to do all kinds of immoral things to you. That's what slavery was, and that's what everybody knows it to be. So I know that he was in this interview, he was trying to quiet down the noise. I believe this was his first interview since all of this popped off. He did have that press conference a few days ago that did not go very well, I don't think, whatsoever. He was actually, it looked like he was going to moonwalk, but until his wife was like, nope, that's inappropriate. But he was really just trying to calm down the noise, right? This dude went back into history all on his own. He went back into history all on his own and reshaped it. He whitewashed it. This was revisionist history. So you know that he was trying to do something. He was trying to do something because everybody, I'm assuming that this is at least a semi-smart guy. If you know that information that you was telling, you must be at least semi-intellectual. You must know something about history. So the mere fact that you chose to use indentured servant or indentured servitude instead of slavery, now I'm questioning you, like why you chose to do that. Before, I stated that, you know, I don't know if he was actually in the picture or not. You know, I don't know. You know, at first he apologized for it, which meant that he probably was in it. Then he backed off of it. Now, oh no, I think you were in it now. I think you were in it now. Like you don't get a second chance anymore.
You see, he's coming off in a way that would kind of suggest that, you know, that was him. Yeah. Because again, like he's older now, and the way he's trying to address this seems a bit off-putting.
Yeah.
So why would he be like, where would you think he would be, in a better place or a worse place? 20-something years ago, 30-something years ago.
Oh, it would probably be worse because he's in the public eye right now. He wasn't in the public eye before. Like, how is this different than what we know is happening, what has been happening with the textbooks in Texas? How they have been whitewashing our history, reshaping our history, reshaping the Civil War, and what was the main focus? What was the leading factor contributing to the Civil War, in which it was slavery, but they try to minimize it to make it seem like it was like a contributing factor. No, it was the main factor. How is what he's doing right here and saying indentured servant instead of slave, how is that anything different?
You know, I see a lot of people too, they're kind of, they've succumbed to that same minimizing of what slavery was. And like, you know, saying things like, well, they were indentured servants. No. They were servants, but they were not indentured.
No,
like
forced.
Yeah, they were forced servants. And yes, that was the selling point to their condition. But they found out that it wasn't going to be indentured servitude and they weren't going to get out. So yes, that's how it was sold. That's how it was sold to them, but that's not actually how it played out. True indentured servitude was only afforded to European immigrants. They, for most of them, their trip was sponsored.
That's right.
Their trip was sponsored.
They wanted to come here.
That's colonialization right there.
That's right.
So their trip was sponsored. They got their trip paid for.
Right.
And they worked that off.
Exactly.
And they were free. And
that is not what happened.
That's not what happened
with
to black
African
people.
slaves. Not what happened. So again, his use of the term, I'm forced to ask, why did he say it, right? So after this, he did send a statement to CBS. And so in that statement, it says, during a recent event at Fort Monroe, I spoke about the arrival of the first Africans in Virginia and referred to them in my remarks as enslaved. A historian advised me that the use of indentured was more historically accurate. The fact is, I'm still learning and committed to getting it right.
Yo, it's a little too late. I'm not saying you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm not saying it's ever too late in life to kind of expand your knowledge about something and change your attitude. I'm not saying that. But don't like try to, I guess, make your ignorance seem like some sort of like virtue here. That's what it seems like. It's like, oh, I'm still learning. You know what I'm saying? He's just trying to make his ignorance seem like a virtue. I'm like, dude, how old are you?
Exactly. Like, come on, man. You know what slaves were. You know what slavery was. Stop it. If this is a true statement and somebody like corrected him, it's like, oh, you know what? You really should use indentured instead of slavery.
Exactly.
Why do you bad advice?
Exactly. Like why? Like again.
Like, why would you hear that advice?
Not only why would he hear that advice, like why do you need people beside you to constantly check how you kind of convey things like that? Just think about that. You see what I'm saying? Like, wait a second. Let me converse with my, I had a consultant. He's a historian.
Yep.
So let me make sure, wait a second. Can I say it? Okay. All right. I'm going to say it like this. Like, think about that, man.
Nah.
Like, why do you...
Especially coming where you're coming from,
like
that racist image in your yearbook on your page. You're coming right off of that. And the first thing you say in this interview, you're mischaracterizing slaves as indentured servants, man. Ugh, bad look again, man. You shouldn't do any more interviews whatsoever. Stop talking to the media. Don't do it anymore. Actually, do it some more. No. For you shouldn't. But for everybody else, yeah. We want to hear more from you. Yeah.
So again, like we had a question on whether he could be effective as far as serving, you know, the people of Virginia.
I think he's making it clear he can't. I think he's making that clear. But he has resisted calls to resign. He has said that he is going to serve out the remaining term, which is 3+ years. So,
Wow.
I think it's 3+ years, at least 3 years, something like that. A long time. All right, so let's get to the Virginia Lieutenant Governor. Okay, Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax was recently accused of sexual assault by a woman named Vanessa Tyson. Tyson claims that the assault happened in 2004 during the Democratic National Convention in Boston, Massachusetts. Fairfax has denied the allegation and refused to resign. There is now another allegation from another woman. Meredith Watson said in a statement through her attorney that Fairfax raped her while the two were students at Duke University in 2000. Fairfax has also denied this claim. It gets more in depth. Watson's attorney also revealed that Watson was raped by a Duke basketball player the year before Fairfax raped her in 1999. So the player was not identified by Watson or her attorney, but the revelation came to be, and now that player has been identified as Corey Maggette, who was a Duke basketball player and went on to play in the NBA for 14 years.
Yeah, a lot of people are not really familiar with him because his career was, you know, a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. But he is also denying the allegation in a statement. He said, "It has only been through media accounts and a statement from Meredith Watson's lawyer that I first learned or heard of anything about these sexual assault allegations. I've never sexually assaulted anyone in my life, and I completely and categorically deny any such charge." So both of these men have, again, they've categorically denied them. Him saying that he's never assaulted anyone. He did not, I didn't see anything where he specifically mentioned Watson and if he actually had any kind of dealings with her, if he actually engaged in consensual sex with her or not. But Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, he made a vague kind of remark saying that any involvement that he would have had with Watson would have been consensual. So it wasn't like he was saying that he did in fact do it. It was just like, if he did, then it's consensual.
Wait a second.
Kind of vague.
Like he doesn't remember her particularly.
I don't know if he does or not. I don't know. I don't know.
But that's kind of what's being suggested. Because, like, I mean, I'm not sitting there and saying, like, everybody should remember every single encounter they've ever had.
Right.
I'm not saying that they should, but I think they should.
I probably so.
I think they should. I think they should. Like, I mean, it's like I'm not saying they should, but they should. I think that's a reasonable expectation. Like, I'm not gonna like. The reason why I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't remember. So when I say they shouldn't have to remember, I'm saying that, like, with the assumption that they could have been, like, maybe intoxicated. There could have been other circumstances where
It could have been.
they could easily forget the situation. I understand.
Could have been.
But I guess I've never been there, so
Yeah, man.
I don't know what that's like. So I just think people should definitely remember an account in order to deny it happened or say, yes, it happened. You can't say, well, if it happened, it was consensual.
Yeah, it
That just
doesn't
seems
read as
weird.
true.
That jump say it doesn't read as true. Like,
Yeah.
it just reads that like
It's kind of like, really? Like, that would be my first kind of response. Like, if it happened.
now with the Maggette thing, it was back in when, 99? Like, does anybody so she didn't report it to anybody back in 99?
No, she says that she went to the dean and the dean dismissed it and nobody helped her. She also said that she went to, and this was, I guess this was corroborated by at least two people. She went to maybe a neighbor of hers that, in the dormitory or whatever, and she went to her crying, and I guess she told her it was Corey Maggette. Also, I can't remember if it was the Washington Post or the New York. I think it was the New York Times, but they were able to, I guess, get messages between her and somebody else. They were Facebook messages from 2016 in which she named Corey Maggette as the Duke basketball player that raped her. So, again, this is another allegation. Duke University, they have initiated investigations. As it relates to Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, though, if you read the second statement from Watson's attorney, that's where it gets, this is, what she's describing is psychopathic. It's crazy. I mean, it's horrible. If this is true, it's absolutely horrible. So she said that she had one encounter with Justin Fairfax after he raped her, and it was at a campus party. And she left after Fairfax arrived, but Fairfax followed her out. She turned around and she said to him, quote, "Why did you do it?" And Fairfax answered, quote, "I knew that because of what happened to you last year, you'd be too afraid to say anything." So that's her saying that Fairfax knew that she was raped by Corey Maggette and used that information, how she didn't do anything about it or nothing happened because of it. He used that to rape her and know that nothing was going to happen to him. Now, if that's true, again, that is heinous. That is, I mean, that's beyond unacceptable. That, again, that is psychopathic type of thinking. So, I don't know. I don't know where this goes.
I think Fairfax, should be up for, having this investigated.
And he has called for it. He has called for an investigation.
I think because now, I think it's different now.
Yeah.
I think this is different now because, the other accusation, it was just kind of both two people involved. Mm-hmm. So there was not a lot of verification that could have been done.
Right.
Here, you have a situation that can definitely be verified by 2, 3, 4, maybe even more people, because she said she went to the dean.
She does say that.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if that dean is still alive. 2, I wouldn't say Maggette is a good witness, but anybody who was there mm-hmm. at that gathering to verify, yeah, these 2 people were there.
Right.
But as far as Fairfax, I'm not saying either of these allegations are true, but when it comes to somebody who is a predator, right? Mm-hmm. When it comes to people who have that type of personality or that type of mentality, do we honestly think that those traits will come out one time? So when allegations of some sort of abuse or sexual abuse or harassment or predatory behavior come out with, a public figure or anyone, it don't even have to be a public figure, it be anyone. What are the chances that only came out with one person? Those traits only were, illustrated in their engagement with one person. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So you almost have to automatically expect there to be more than 1 or 2 accusers, because that's not something that's just going to be compartmentalized to just one person. That's going to come out with multiple people, especially if they want to abuse their power like that. So, like I said, I'm not saying any of the allegations are true, but it would make sense that there would be multiple people.
Yeah, and as of right now, I don't believe there are any others throughout the years and even now that have alleged that Corey Maggette has sexually assaulted them. Again, we are, this is just a few days ago when this revelation was made that he was the actual Duke basketball player. Justin Fairfax, if he did, in fact, rape this woman, Meredith Watson, then, I guess that would have led to him actually sexually assaulting the other woman, Vanessa Tyson. I mean, at least that's a track record. Both of these women have stated that, I believe both of them have stated that they want Justin Fairfax to resign. Look, I understand that, and when we talked about this initially, I said that Fairfax misstepped because he was trying to, I guess, prove in the media that he was innocent and trying to attack Vanessa Tyson and saying that she didn't come out with it then, some years ago, and this and that, and I think the Washington Post, you said her story was phony and this and that, and that's just
not what they said.
Yeah, that's not what they said, or debunked it, or that's not what happened whatsoever. So that was definitely not the right thing to do. I just say that even though things like this do tend to happen when somebody's making a move in the public eye. I will say that we've seen that Brett Kavanaugh. It happens in entertainment industry. It happens when somebody is in the media, and especially when they're making a move. Yeah, something happens. With this, I get it, but it's still okay. Yeah, he made moves last year. He was campaigning to be the lieutenant governor last year. You know, so not saying that these stories are false. It's just interesting. It's just interesting that, you know, you want him out of office. If you came forward back then,
yeah,
you know,
I see what you're getting at. It's slightly different from, let's say, Kavanaugh, because it would be like 2 years from now or some shit.
Yeah.
Or like a year or 2 years from now.
Right.
Like Blase 4 comes out.
Right.
That's, you know what I'm saying? It'll be weird then.
It's just, like I said, it's interesting. It's not to say that these women are lying. It's just, again, like, the Me Too movement was prevalent last year. You know, it's been prevalent for a time now. So, and women have been coming forward. Last year definitely would have been the opportunity
because he wasn't really. He's not on the radar now. He was on the radar then.
But now he's in office. He's already been in office, and I don't know. It's just interesting. But yeah, there are going to be investigations. Duke is going to be, you know, have an investigation. Fairfax has called for his own investigation. Hopefully, I'm not sure if we can get down to the bottom of this, because again, a lot of times this does boil down to a he said, she said situation. We don't know the circumstances around the events, if Fairfax actually did have sexual relations with this woman or not. He hasn't stated it emphatically. So, and as the case with Maggette too, he hasn't stated that it happened or not, that he actually did have contact with this woman, Meredith Watson. So it's just up in the air right now.
I don't think that in any case of some suspected criminality, we can get down to the bottom of anything, because the only way we can actually get down to the bottom of something like concretely is to actually know every single little detail, everything that happens. I think we can come to a conclusion based on, like, I guess, circumstantial facts. If they're facts and they're circumstantial, I think we can piece things together, and I hope that the investigation gives us a little bit more of the picture so we can do that. One thing you done mentioned about Fairfax and how he responded and how it was a bad look. We went over that last show, but don't you think it's interesting that, you know, he's a representative, right? And that response he gave wasn't very tactful, and it kind of like, it made him look like he was guilty.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I point out the fact that he's a representative only to juxtapose his response with Corey Maggette's, who is not. He's a basketball player, played in college, and he's a professional basketball player in the NBA. And his reaction was better and more tactful than that of a representative. You see what I'm saying? Because he didn't like try to throw all this other stuff in. He was like, "Nah, I don't remember that. It's not. I've never done that in my life." And he just kind of kept it at that and left it at that.
Yeah. There will probably be more in the coming days or weeks from him. There'll probably be more. But yeah, what you're saying, and you know, pretty much what I said too, is you should know. He made a statement saying that he didn't want to attack her, and that he doesn't want to condemn her words or anything like that, but he wants to make it clear that he's not guilty. Cool, leave it at that. But the fact that you're trying to attack her, I mean, it can't be called anything else. Attack her story by saying the Washington Post debunked her story, and then by saying, hey, years ago she didn't come out with this. That doesn't, no, like, stop it.
That's cringy.
Stop it, man. That's what are you doing?
That's cringy, man.
And it does it does start to point the finger at you. You know, it's like, okay, why are you doing that? You didn't have to do that. So I don't know, man. I think it's a very bad light for Justin Fairfax. Many people are calling for him to resign. He has, you know, so far he has resisted those calls. I don't know. There's going to be a lot more to this, obviously. All right. So, you know what? Let's get to our calls. All right. So we got through the content that we wanted to get through tonight. I think we had some good conversation about it, and now it's time to hear from you. So definitely, if you would like to join the program, we would love to hear your questions or your comments about some of the things that we talked about, maybe something else that you think should be discussed. So the number to call is 669-900-6833. Yeah, I looked because I don't remember it. I'm a stop. I got too much in the head. You know what I'm saying? I can load it with other information but this number. I'm gonna just look at the screen.
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't looking at you, and I was like, man, that's coming out pretty smooth this time. Usually it's like 6, 6, 9.
I glanced.
Yeah,
I glanced.
okay, you glanced this time. Okay.
I glanced.
All right.
Forget remembering that element, man. But yeah, like I said, we would love to hear from you. So definitely call that number. It's on the screen. Let me set this up so that we can take our first call. I don't even remember that. What is that? Okay, here we go. There we go. All right. All right. We are able to take our calls now. We did have some other content, but you know, we can leave it. We can leave that to the next program on Thursday. It's not anything pressing, anything time pressing or anything like that. So we can definitely save that. Probably at least one dummy of the day.
I was about to say, with respect to viewers' request.
Yeah.
Saab.
Yeah. Yeah, Saab. Yeah.
Saab.
He requested a dummy today.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're watching tonight, but we did see your comment under the video.
Yeah.
With the Dummy Day video.
Yeah, on YouTube.
YouTube. He was like,
that.
Dummy Day's back or some junk. So I was like,
that.
I definitely had to like that comment. So yeah. Just for you, man. Just for you.
See, I'm gonna have to take some Mucinex, man. I'm gonna have to take some Mucinex. All day, I wasn't coughing, and then about 10 minutes before we go on, I feel something in the chest bothering me. So I've been sucking on these Halls.
Oh, Gene said I would love to call in, but I'm at the beach and my Skype isn't working.
At the beach, living it up. Huh?
I know that saddens me that your Skype isn't working, but I am I'm kind of gleeful in the image of.
Keep it G. Keep it G rated.
Okay.
Keep it G.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up. Oh. Just saying that it's, you know, it's good to hear somebody relaxing on the beach.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. It's good to hear that somebody's relaxing on the beach.
Yeah.
And that, you know, puts a good image in my mind. That's all I'm saying. That's
I
all
get
I'm
you.
saying.
I feel you, man. We got a question saying, what's the topic tonight? We talked about many topics tonight, but right now the time is yours. The floor is yours. We have the number up on the screen if you want to call in and join the program and discuss with us something that you know, you want to get off your chest. If you have a question for us, if you have a comment, please feel free to do so. And we do have our first call of the night, so definitely let's get them on here. Okay, I think we are ready to take that caller. All right, it's coming from the 612 area code. Call you on the air live with LTMB.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing? Who's this calling?
Pretty good. I'm the Trump guinea pig from Thursday. I told you I'd call next Tuesday, and I meant it. I'm World Bet Now on the chat.
Okay. Yeah, what's up, man?
How you doing tonight?
What's going on?
No, not a lot. How you guys doing?
Man, we're doing good.
We're good, man. Yeah. We're good. You know, just
You know, I just wanted to say real quick, and I don't know. I don't want to be an I don't see color type of a-hole, but so a white guy gets blackface. He's the governor. The AG, Attorney General of the state of Virginia, he comes out and says, "Oh, I dressed in blackface. He's just trying to get ahead of the train," right? So he's a white guy, obviously dressed in blackface. They single out the black guy who has sexual assault allegations. It's like the lieutenant governor right in the middle of those two clowns, and it's like, what in the fuck? Like, I don't know.
Virginia's a mess.
Another unsurprising story in America, I guess.
Yeah, but for this conversation to just be in Virginia, like all these controversies popping off like right now, it's crazy. Again, they're not surprising, but it's still like, wow.
It is crazy. I mean, I get all my news off of YouTube essentially, and I just think they have a lot of more factual information. I mean, the news just tells you a big ghost story, and they just go, "Hey, why doesn't everybody believe this? Here you go, cram it down your throat." And it's kind of ridiculous. Even just last week, RBG skips the State of the Union. She's skipped a bunch of Republican presidents. That's no big deal, but she goes to a show in Washington, and the Washington Post does an article like RBG. There was a sighting at this show that was dedicated to her. It was like RGB in Song was the name of this little play. It was sparsely attended, but nobody's going to take her picture. Like, yeah, right. It's bullshit. Like they snap her picture. It doesn't matter. You know, no, they don't say at the end, and thank you for attending RGB, the life story. And here she is, RGB. Like, it's just, no one's essentially seen this woman since like 2017.
Oh, so it's the whole she's really dead or something. She had that accident, and she's actually really dead because they say like after she had the accident, she like broke a rib or something. They discovered some sort of like growth or something. Wasn't that the story?
So she called in a vote like last Thursday, and it's just, I don't know. And I've seen articles that are like, oh, crazy idiots think she's dead. It's like, well, somebody take her. It's like she's voting, and nobody's seen her literally in around 16 plus months, from what I understand. And I was looking yesterday. I just researched it, and I was trying to find any picture of her in the last year, and nothing. Crickets, as they say. But yeah, I'm still kind of a Trump supporter. I was curious if you guys kind of bought into like Beto O'Rourke last night having a big turnout at his kind of counter speech, right kind of next to where Trump was speaking. If you thought he outdrew Trump last night, and I was just curious what you guys thought of that, because I read some stories about how he had this huge crowd, and then I watched the video.
I didn't see Beto's his speeches rally. I didn't see it. I saw some of President Trump's. I saw that President Trump was saying that his I guess his audience was bigger than Beto O'Rourke's, and this is a nonsensical type of I guess. Argument to be having, and the president too. I mean, like, okay, look, if you're the sitting president of the United States, obviously you have some kind of support. If you come to Texas, which is a red state to begin with, right? You probably should have more of an audience than Beto O'Rourke, who was a congressional member of Congress, but then lost his Senate race to Cruz.
Yeah, to Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
You should have a bigger turnout. You really should. I mean, it shouldn't be a war of words with these two. It's just it's crazy. So yeah, like I said, I didn't see Beto's. I didn't see his.
I wasn't really interested.
Yeah,
I'm not really interested.
Yeah, I didn't see either one of them. I was just I was curious because I just thought it was another kind of a fake news thing where they just kind of put up this thing, and I don't know. There just seems to be a lot of attacking, and I understand you guys don't like the POTUS. Some of his statements are ridiculous. I don't condone pussy grabbing and that every Latino is out to rape and murder everybody. That's totally ridiculous. But that wasn't exactly what he said. I mean, there's certainly bad people coming over the border. Not everyone, but I don't know. They're already breaking the law by entering the country. I don't know. I just think they put a lot of effort into just kind of demonizing anything he ever does or says, and I don't see it like that when I physically see him speak and interact with people who don't always look like he does, for that matter.
Let me challenge you for a second, man.
All right, yeah, go for it.
I think like our, I guess, opposition to Trump is bigger than Trump, because he does have an entire administration, and it's not just about how he comes off to people and what he says. It's actually policies he's tried to implement, and it goes way beyond his stances on immigration. And I mean, if you just look at all the people he appointed, I don't know if that's still the case, because there's been so many transitions within his administration and people, having to step down. I think it was calculated that it was the most affluent, the richest administration in history. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like this kind of appeal to the common man, and this appeal that he was going to get people in the White House that were going to look out for the common man, that doesn't pan out based on who he's chosen to be advisors. A lot of these people he's choosing to be advisors are kind of been in the swamp, so to speak, for years. These aren't new faces. Like his approach to North Korea, his approach to Iran, his approach to Syria, his approach to tax reform, his approach to healthcare, his approach to military intervention, his approach to Yemen, his approach to transgenders in the military, his approach to not addressing voter suppression, not addressing gerrymandering, his approach to criminal justice, non-reform. So these are all things that go way beyond just like how he appears or how he presents himself superficially. So it's not even about Trump. It's not even about Trump, because if Hillary Clinton was president, or if Beto O'Rourke becomes president, or if Elizabeth Warren was president, whatever scenario you could come up with in your mind, whoever was president, if they did not, I guess, advocate for an agenda that represents what we stand for, you best believe we would be kind of highlighting that too. So it's bigger than Trump. We had this agenda before you know what I'm saying? We had this agenda before Trump came. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, you might want to at least look into Barack Obama's cabinet though. We
have problems with Barack.
We have problems.
A bunch of Goldman Sachs people in his cabinet. It's like, no shit, everybody's done that. Like, that's how the country has been run for a really long time.
But the one thing that Mike is trying to convey is that, like, it's not just an issue with Trump. Like, we had many problems with Barack Obama, his presidency, his cabinet. So, I mean, it should be uniform. It shouldn't be like Trump is, I guess, he's the exception, even though he's doing the same type of things. And he has the same types of cabinets that push big business, that push, corporate interests. And, he should be criticized for that just as anybody else should. On the border, though, I just want to address the border with you. So, because you said, people are coming across the border. It is illegal to come across the border. Some bad people are coming across. And all of that is right. All of that is absolutely right. There's not a party in the United States of America that is the open border party, okay? There's not a party in the United States of America that believes that we should not protect our country, not protect our people. Now, both parties have supported border security measures. This whole fight about a border wall or border security, it should be non-existent. It should not be an issue whatsoever. The people that are coming to this country, okay, like, because the main highlight of this issue are the caravans, okay? That's the main highlight of this issue. And President Trump is framing this as an assault on the country. He said it was an onslaught of, it was an onslaught that was taking place at the border. Now, that's not true, because the vast majority of all these people, I'm talking about, they are coming here to apply for asylum. We know that most of them are not going to get it. But to apply for asylum, you have to first step into the United States of America. They're not trying to run from these border patrol agents. They're actually trying to come to apply for asylum. So it's not a case of what's dangerous to us as it regards these people. No, there's a process. There has always been a process in how to process these applications. And first, you have to be in the United States. I get, and our congressional members, in the House and in the Senate, they get that there has to be border security measures. There has to be, in some places, barriers. And they have put some of those barriers up. In some places, it may be prudent to put additional barriers. So I don't think that's never been a fight. That's never been a partisan fight. So I think it's just disingenuous for President Trump to make this an issue when it's not.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying recently they just combat him because it's him.
Okay, you might be right.
And I just want to say real quick that it's a logistics issue. If 200 people cross the border and they say, I want amnesty, and there's only 40,000 beds, it becomes a logistics nightmare, which it has been, which is how kids get separated. And yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's.
But see, on that, then we have to do something about what's causing these migrants to migrate in the first place. And we have to do something about the process too. But it's not an onslaught. It's not like this crisis. It's not this dangerous situation that he's painting. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
And a wall isn't going to stop it either. A wall's not going to stop it because they're going to ports of entry. A wall is not going to stop it.
And I will acknowledge that there are some people that are out there who are I guess, knee-jerkingly against Trump without fully examining why they disagree. Are those people out there? Yes, I'm pretty sure there are. There's no matter who's in office, no matter who's running, there are going to be people like that. I don't care about those people. We're not here to kind of talk about those people. We're here to try to, I guess, piece all the information together and make come to objective conclusions based on what we know. Again, I completely agree with you. There's some knee-jerkingly anti-Trump people. Okay. We can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about that. That's just the way politics is, very superficial. But we're kind of here to be, objective, no matter who is in leadership and no matter who this leadership tasked or employs to promote their agenda. That's what we're here for. I mean, we understand you're a Trump supporter. The thing is, I don't think you shouldn't be. We don't support politicians. We don't support people. We support agendas. We support platforms. Those don't have anything to do with a person. The reason why we supported Bernie Sanders is because we already supported the platform he was presenting, the platform he was promoting. So it really wasn't about him. He was just the conduit. So we don't support people per se, because if Bernie Sanders stopped supporting progressive agendas, guess what we would do?
Done with him.
We're done with him. Done. Straight done. And I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't cry about it. I mean, I would cry, but I'd be like, I wouldn't cry about him being done. I'd be like, that's the decision you want to make. So we don't support people. You know what I'm saying? Per se.
I appreciate the way you guys articulate your points, and you're just very informed, and I enjoyed it. And I was a Bernie supporter because Bernie said the magic words to me, and that was break up the banks. That's why my name's World Debt Now in the chat. But anyway, I just want to say about Trump, and the reason I just don't like the man's character, frankly, but I do support what he is hopefully trying to do, because I think the drain the swamp thing is kicking into gear. And from what you said about his cabinet that I haven't researched well enough, and I've never liked Pence at all. Pence always kind of freaked me out if he ever got in there. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just going to let you go, let other callers in if there's anyone waiting.
Appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you calling in, man. Always good to hear from you.
Yeah, hey, thanks a lot, you guys. And I think there's a legitimate effort by the media to divide people based on anything, based on their sex, their color, their religious beliefs, whatever it is. And it's just, I don't know, people got to understand how much we all have in common. And I hope they do soon. I love you guys.
All right,
have a good one.
Appreciate it.
Take it easy.
All right, have a good night. All right, we're gonna welcome in 443 to the stream. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? It's Court.
How are you doing tonight, Court?
What's going on?
Good to hear
Court?
from you.
Same old, fellas. How y'all doing tonight?
Can't complain, man.
I can't complain. We can, complain about the state of the world, but I really can't complain. I'm
just trying to deal with it.
Yeah, just trying to deal with it, man.
Well, we don't complain about the state of the world. We pontificate about it.
Yeah, man.
We pontificate. But yeah, I called into a Majority Report today and try to bring up the specter of Marianne Williamson. I couldn't get in. They're too big. They're too big, and I couldn't get a minute. I just wanted to be like, look, I noticed this person's running. I haven't seen y'all say anything. It's interesting to me, man. Why hasn't Sam Cedar brought this woman up?
Right.
Like every day. Like what's the deal? Like is she damaged goods? Like is the Democratic Party like, well, she's really progressive, but she's just too new. We don't know about. We can't push her like that. Like, what's the deal? Like, nobody says anything about her.
Did you actually
get through? You guys are the only ones who have said anything about her at all. No, I didn't get through at all. I didn't get through it all, so I'm not going to say that, that I got through to asking.
Right.
But it's still, like, it's Sam Cedar, man. This is one of the most progressive intellectuals in my generation.
And he has Jewish hair. He's Jewish too, right? And so is Marianne Williamson. Right?
Yeah, that means nothing. That means nothing. It's just her policies. Like, I would think especially Michael Brooks, with his intellectual bent on politics. Like, I would think they would pick her up immediately, and it's just like I'm wondering why they aren't mentioning her.
I just mentioned. I'm
wondering if I missed it. I'm wondering if I missed it. It's just weird.
I don't think you did.
I just mentioned that because at least like there was some sort of like relatability already there. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's why I mentioned it. There's already something there that
it's like when I call into you guys, it's me, a black person, talking to two other black people. I get it, but like that, like her level of involvement with progressive politics, from the way she did that CNN interview, you can tell she's the type of person who has been into progressive politics a long time, and it just struck me as strange that you guys are the only ones who even mentioned her, and I just find that weird. I'm just weirded out by that. That makes me feel very uneasy. Yeah. That makes me feel very uneasy.
Yeah, she was. Since you mentioned that, like, her in-depth knowledge of progressive politics, that is definitely something I picked up and noticed, and it felt like she was more articulate than any politician that we would consider the most progressive. No doubt. It's just the way she laid everything out, and she kind of like strung everything together. She just came off as being way more a progressive to in a broader sense, more so than politicians that we would consider the most progressive.
She's intelligent, she's informed, and she's articulate. So put her in front of a camera, she is going to win. She's going to convey the message that she needs to. She's going to garner support. Maybe that is what people are scared of. But yeah, like you said, like progressive outlets on YouTube, though, not covering her at all. Because I've looked too. I've looked on YouTube. I haven't seen anything. So it does make you wonder, like, why? Like, why is there a muzzle in corporate media? Why is there a muzzle in independent media? Like, nobody wants to talk about her. I don't know. Like, Jill Stein was from the Green Party, and Marianne Williamson, is way more articulate than Jill Stein, who I think is very articulate.
Yeah.
So she
almost comes off the same way.
I know you guys like Jill Stein because I've heard you guys talk about Jill Stein, and I know you guys had a lot of chips. You guys put a lot of chips to bet on her, and that's fine. But Jill Stein had the Green Party stigma is one of those things that's always gonna make a candidate for president like a hot potato.
Oh yeah.
Because you're always gonna have your Hillary bot that's gonna be like, oh, you ruined the election because you voted for Jill Stein.
Right.
And you gave away your progressive vote for somebody who could never win. But see, the thing about Marianne Williamson is she come out the gate Democrat.
Out the gate
Democrat. You know what I mean? Like this is like Elizabeth Warren, but without the racial baggage. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like she's a white woman, so you get your woman tally. And then she's white, so you don't piss off all the people who are like, fuck Barack Obama.
Right.
But nobody picked that up. Like, nobody, and it's just like I was watching an interview on the Majority Report with Sam Cedar, and it was Sam was going through how Anderson Cooper reacted to Andrea Ocasio-Cortez calling Trump a racist, matter-of-factly, without mincing words. And I'm like, Sam, this is a freshman senator who has absolutely no chance of running for president. And on the other end, you've got Marianne Williamson, who is primed to run for president. She's got the experience. She's got the party affiliation. She's got the language. She's got the guts to stand up to the media like Ocasio does, but she's also got the in. She's old enough to run, and she's a good contender, but nothing.
It's disappointing, man. It's disappointing. We are early on. I mean, I guess the only, I guess, I don't know, what do you want to call it? The only good side to this is that we are still early on. This is February. Not everybody has even came out and entered the race yet. So there's still time for her to actually make a name for herself. She made a splash. She made just a gigantic splash with that interview on CNN. Her damn campaign website is just it's a glossary. I mean, it's an encyclopedia. Not a glossary. No, it's an encyclopedia of information. Just so many topics that she just expands on and gives you what she's about, like what she wants to see happen, like what's going to be like the path that she takes, and it's all right there. And I guarantee she's able to articulate that if a microphone is put in front of her. So just give her the opportunity.
Or a bigger microphone.
A bigger microphone. Yeah. It's good that she was on CNN, I will say, but we need to see more coverage, and not just for, I mean, damn, usually it's independent media that precedes the, the establishment media, this corporate media, when you're talking about candidates like her.
I think they did that, honestly. I don't want to I just don't want to rush to give CNN credit for having her on, because I think they just did that because they don't take her seriously. I think that was very experimental. I think just by just how she was being handled in the interview, how the host was trying to handle her, and her reactions.
He wasn't ready for that.
He wasn't ready for it, and it just seemed like she was on her square, like so solidly that she couldn't be thrown off. And I think there was a point in the interview where the host tried to throw her off a little bit, and she just was like, anyway, and she just kept it moving.
Right.
I just don't think they were, like you said, I don't think they were ready for it.
Right.
I don't think they brought her on because they thought she was a legitimate candidate. They thought it was like, and she's just like, she's just a flash in the pan. She's not really serious. She's just throwing her name in the hat to sell books. They probably didn't take her seriously.
Even though she is popular.
She is popular.
Of all the other candidates, for the Democratic nomination, she has the most Twitter followers. She's a best-selling author. She is popular, and we know in politics popularity counts. So it should do something for her. It should do. Again, we're early on. It should do more for her. Her popularity should take her places to where she is actually a relevant voice.
I think she'd be one of those voices like Bernie Sanders was back in 2016, pulling the party to the left. And I noticed some comments in the chat. People are talking about her, I guess, her religiosity.
Mm-hmm.
But see, man, like, okay, so you look at a man like Mike Pence. That motherfucker is about some straight up deliverance type shit.
Damn.
Like God is like going to come back and annihilate the rest of the world because he's God and he hates black people or whatever the fuck he learns about his church, right? You can see that in Pence. Like, you can see that. With Marianne Williamson, it's like that side of the religion where people actually have the compassion. They have the empathy. And see, I know people are like, oh, religion is bad. And I think religion is pretty much bad too. But you have to admit it's a part of human history. And some people actually pick that shit up and do good things with it. And I don't think she should be judged on her ability to be a spiritual advisor. I mean, who gives a fuck, man? She says the right shit, and she does the right shit. You know what I mean? Like,
religion is it's like, it depends on. I've always said I don't care what you believe in. I mean, you believe in God, you believe in this God, you believe these things. You take parts out of the Bible, the Quran. I mean, like, whatever is your religion and what you believe in is between you and your God. Cool. The problem arises when you try to impart that on everybody else. That's the problem. I don't get that feeling from Marianne Williamson. Nothing I have heard, nothing I've read, nothing I've seen states that she wants this to be a theocracy. Like, she actually operates like this nation is a theocracy.
Yeah, like Mike Pence wants this shit to be a theocracy. Like Mike Pence is that dude who wants America to be a theocracy. You can tell by the way he presents the way he wears his religion on his sleeve, the way he pushes it on people, the way he talks about people's lifestyles as being inferior. That man thinks that the belief in God is what makes him a human being. That's what he thinks. But Marianne Williamson is like, my belief in God has made me more empathetic towards people who are weaker than me. And like people miss that slight nuance. You know what I mean? Like we're all like, oh, fuck her, she's all spiritual. Well, I mean, shit, she picked the right stuff out of spiritualism, though. That there's something to be said for that.
Right. Yeah, I do think sometimes we give religion too much credit for, like, I guess, creating certain attitudes. I think that people are who they are, and they may use religion to justify an agenda that they already have, or they use religion as a way to kind of push attitudes and push an agenda, or push mindsets and kind of push an ideology that they already had. And I just think that sometimes we just give religion too much credit for its effect. I just think that for the most part, our negative human traits, we kind of like use religion as the vehicle to express those traits onto the rest of the world. And I don't think that Marianne Williamson, for an example, is somebody that we can look at that would be a vehicle to kind of institute any type of religion on America. I just don't think that that's somebody that we can look at that was going to do that. I think we just look at how she comes off and look at like how she's presenting a plan or how she's presenting her platform. That's what we should look at. The reason why we have to question like whether she will implement some sort of religious dogma on us, the reason why we even have to speculate is because she hasn't done that. That's what I'm saying. That's the reason why people have to speculate whether she will or not, because she hasn't even done that. Like, I guess people.
And I don't even think that's a valid speculation, man. I really don't. I think it's like, first off, if a person is gonna spring some religious fanaticism on you, let's say Marianne Williamson is like, I don't know, some straight up, what's that, Omni Ricci, like that cult Japan that put the sarin gas in the subway. Now, let's say she was some shit like that. Let's say she was like real deep and dark into some shit like that. Like, how come that hasn't been brought up yet, or seen, or thought about, or you know what I mean? Like, as far as nobody even knew about Marianne Williamson, I didn't know about her until you guys brought her up, right? And then the first thing I heard, or the first thing I noticed was about the way she annihilated that CNN anchor for asking some stupid shit about why you can't be kind to people, which is perfect. And then, you know, as I looked more into her character, and you guys spoke more about it, I understood she had a religious component. As I looked to the chat, I understood she had a religious component. But she didn't stand out from her, and I believe that's what you guys even said when you brought her up the last time I called. Not maybe 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 times ago. You know, you guys even brought up, I believe it was Mike. She did not come off that way. She did not lead in with her religion. And that's true. And I don't know why people are being so hard on her about that. I mean, in America, in politics, you got to be religious. I don't care what you think about, you know, objectivity. At the end of the day, if you tell somebody you're an atheist, you're not getting elected.
Oh, hell
period.
No. Hell no. That's a straight up rub right there. There's no way. So yeah, so her being religious and in regard, it shouldn't be like this obstacle whatsoever. It should just be regular. And the beauty of it is that she is not leading with it. So it should be a non-issue. It should be a non-issue.
It's good. It should. I'm gonna try to get a hold of them guys over at Majority Report. I'm trying to see why they're not. I mean, I respect Sam Cedar. You know, I hear Will C, and I respect Will C and his opinions. I do. But I respect Sam Cedar. That's a really intellectual dude, and he's been in the progressive scene for a very long time. His opinion does have some weight, and I want to know, I would like to know why he hasn't really brought that out and said much about that. I want to know if he's trying to protect Bernie, if he's trying to protect Elizabeth Warren. I don't know. It just doesn't sit easy with me, man.
Well, definitely let us know, man. Sure, if you keep trying, definitely let us know what comes of that, man. Because we would like to hear more voices talk about her. We think it's important. So
I will. I'll keep trying to get through to them, and I'll let you guys know what happened.
All right, Court. As always, man, we appreciate you calling in and dropping some knowledge on us, man.
All right, fellas, y'all have a good night.
All right, you do the same, man.
Peace out.
All right, we have another caller from the 980 area code. Caller, you're on the air live with LTMB. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How y'all doing? This is Will from North Carolina.
What's going on, Will, man? We haven't heard from you in a little while, man. How's it going with you?
Good. Everything's good.
Good to hear that, man.
Yeah, I actually had several things now going by the callers that you had. One thing I'll go ahead and say about Sam Cedar, you know, I think he's an establishment mouthpiece. I don't like him one bit. All he does, in my opinion, is parrot mainstream liberal media, and but I respect Court's opinion. Court is very informed. You know, he's obviously, you know, keeps an eye on what's going on with everything, but I'd have to disagree a little bit with you know, his take on Sam Cedar. There's another thing. There's a few things that have been said in the calls before me that I don't quite agree with. I don't think that if you claim to be an atheist that you can't get elected in America. That has been the case traditionally and historically, but I'm not convinced that's still the case.
No. It's not happening.
You just said historically.
Historically, yeah.
You just said historically, so you're actually saying that it's the true point.
Yeah.
If that's historically the case, and that's typically the case up till now, I'm trying to see what you are. Yeah. I mean, you can say the needle is moving, but
yeah, I see more people like questioning religion than ever before. I see that, like, you know, if you compare it to the 80s, 90s. You know, I see more people saying that, yeah, you know, I don't know about religion. You know, they may even still say like I'm spiritual, not religious, but I see a lot more questions than I ever did before. But
I don't
elected.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think Bernie Sanders ever has ever. I may be wrong, but I don't think he's ever promoted himself as being a religious person at all. They were trying to smear him.
He was asked
Hillary Clinton. The Democratic Party was trying to smear him as a Jew. I mean,
well, he is.
Yeah. I mean,
he is.
Well, I mean, and they were trying to smear him for it. So that just shows me that, that is a prevailing thought with the establishment, and they're trying to convince everybody, in my opinion, that that's still the case. And I just don't buy it, man. I don't believe that's still the case. I don't believe that just a lot of things that mainstream media is putting on everybody, and people are believing it with these rigged elections and showing that as proof that these things are legit.
Okay, hold on.
I just don't buy it, man.
Well, hold on. Let me just ask you a question. Okay, you say, okay, the corporate media, they're pushing these things, dividing people, this and that. You don't think that religion is necessary for somebody to be elected? Now,
I don't.
With all this fear mongering that we see, with all these empty attacks that we see taking place historically, I mean, now, before, I mean, it's virtually all the same. If somebody was trying to seek a high office too, like the presidency, and they said they were atheists, don't you think that would be just giving somebody a big old rock to throw at them, even in 2019, 2020? Are you serious, man?
I really don't, and I think I just what was I going to say? This is what I was going to say. I think that we are. Well, I mean, you might be right, but I don't think that, and I also believe that we the bureaucracy, as you know, the American government is moving so slow and not keeping up one bit with the feeling of the people, with the way people, with the intelligence of the electorate, and the with a large part of the electorate.
You said the intelligence of what? Repeat that. Repeat that for the audience, please. The intelligence of what?
I said a large part of the electorate, not the entire electorate, obviously. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of very ignorant people, and that's why we're still here, of course. You know, we can't drag everybody with us kicking and screaming. It's not work.
I think
but we're not keeping up.
I think you're overstating the intelligence of the electorate. And like, yeah, there are a number of us that are informed, but that doesn't stand for the most.
Wait, before you go on, I understand like the need for you to go there. Because I was there too. And the reason I was there is because I wanted to feel better about the country. I wanted to be like, yo, like, if everybody would just unite on this issue, we'd be fine. Right. The majority of the electorate is very intelligent and very informed and knows what they want. And it's just the leadership. It's just Congress. It's just our representatives that are just not doing what we want. If it wasn't for them,
no, like, that's not the case.
We would make it. I was like, I think that's very naive. I think there's too many in the electorate.
No, that's not the case.
Because who votes them in, dude? Who votes them in? Who votes all the people in that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, who are keeping your bureaucracy hamstrung? It's the people.
The people that count the votes. The people that count the votes. I mean, yes, a large part of it is people voting in a certain way. But no, I don't believe in the integrity of the elections either. I mean, why would you continue doing something that's easily hackable when you don't have to? I mean, it's clear. It's not.
They're not even hiding it, man. That's a different subject. We were talking about the intelligence of the electorate. How does an intelligent electorate have such a hamstrung government? And don't say, well, because like gerrymandering.
Well, listen,
even with gerrymandering and voter suppression and all that taken into account, those people are still being voted in by the people that do get a chance to vote. Just saying.
Okay, now let me answer. Yeah, you're right. There is a very serious and very large problem with the electorate, very significant. But I don't think it's more than a majority at this point. And I think there's some things that are some nefarious things that are going on that are being able, they're being maintained because such a large part of the electorate is very ignorant and falling for it. And, I'm not saying it's a big gap, but I think we've moved past the point where the majority of us is a little bit more intelligent than that. And there's people with a lot of money and power that have a foothold on big institutions at this point. I think we'll get past that, but I think it'll be later than sooner because we still do have such a large part of the electorate that is ignorant. And for democracy to work, the electorate has to be informed. So that's why I've always said that's what we should be working on.
No doubt.
That's what we should be working
on. That was our larger point. Like, we can't just like be focused on like, oh, all these people at the top not, doing what's in the
no, you're right. Yeah, that's not
like, we can't. I'm sorry.
You're right.
I think that's a bit naive to always focus on them and say, oh, they are the problem. They are the major problem, as if they don't have supporters. Yeah. You see, Ted Cruz won in Texas.
I wasn't saying
We're going to act like Ted Cruz didn't win in Texas? Are we going to act like DeSantis didn't win in Florida? Are we going to act like your boy, what's the dude in Georgia? Kemp? We're going to act like Kemp didn't win in Georgia? Like, there's people who actually vote for these people. Although I think a lot of that, especially in Georgia, the reason why Stacey Abrams didn't win is because there's a lot of voter suppression. But that voter suppression had to do with her voters. That doesn't account for the people who voted for Kemp, though. Do you see what I'm
right.
saying?
There still has to be large support for this.
Go ahead, man.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm taking into account voter suppression and everything, but you're right. There's still a very large part that are, you can't just elect these people either, even if it was completely rigged, 1,000%, like nobody supported people that were in power. It still wouldn't work. You're right about that. I wasn't saying that. You're completely right. We still have a big problem. And, I think I'm cautious to overstate that problem. I think that we've made significant progress, but it's still a big problem. You're right, absolutely. And we really, my opinion is that the biggest thing we have to work on is making sure that we have an informed, that we respect truth and reality and science, and and become informed, because it's the only way a democracy works anyway.
But see, that's not the, I guess that's not the landscape of our society. To really educate a populace, it has to start young, and you know, we don't have that structure.
It can be,
in
though.
place.
Do we have a history of having an informed populace? I'll ask you that. Do we have?
No, we don't. But I'm saying
this country have a history of having
No, we
a
don't.
large
No.
and informed populace.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
So
not.
how do we
Clearly
rectify
not.
So
that?
that's reflected in our representation. Sorry, I know I'm putting kind of the onus on like people, and yes, I know that there's a powerful apparatus, but
the onus should be on the people.
That's
You're
a
right about
reflection
that.
of what?
The ownership on the people, he said.
The onus should be on the people.
Okay, then.
Yeah, no, you're right. I agree. The onus is on the people. That's for sure.
So our leadership
There's
is a
no doubt about
reflection of
that.
us. I'm not saying me, you, or a viewer
Yeah,
in
you're right.
particular. So I'm not making this about me. I'm just saying us as a nation. Like our leadership is
Yeah.
a reflection of us, and it makes sense why our leadership is
definitely
so
is.
divided and so like interested in things that aren't even good for us, because we don't even know what the fuck is good for us. When I say us, I'm not talking about
Yeah,
me.
you're
you know what I'm
right.
saying? Like, because I think
Yeah,
there's
you're-
an assumption that the majority of Americans know what's good for like them. For
Yeah,
people.
and
There's
it's
this
not-
there's
that's
this
not
assumption
not
that we
the
have
case.
that everybody knows what's good for America. All the citizens,
Yeah,
the
and
constituency
it's
knows
not the
what's
case.
good for America. I don't think that. I don't think that. I think there's
No,
a good
you're right.
portion that
I
does,
agree,
but
man.
the majority don't.
I completely agree. I agree, and I think it's not just. I'm not. You know, if I'm being misunderstood, no, it's not just for the leadership, just for the top people. This is for every. You know, this is a problem for everybody, and the people. You know, the general electorate more than anybody, because they make up. You know, a much larger group of people than a small group of leaders. So, I mean, I completely agree with everything you're saying, and I just think we should look for those leaders. Or look for, whether it's leaders or policy or whatever, that's going to put us in a position to start taking serious, you know, reality, and you know, stop being fooled in, you know, all the demagoguery and everything. You know, I've seen Booker and Kamala Harris recently on C-SPAN with their little rallies, and they're just, you know, braggadocious, me, look what I did, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they're so full of shit, they're like a cheap car salesman. And, you know, these people suck, man. And
We agree with
we
that.
just, you know.
Well, we only got about 15 seconds left.
But yeah, I'll just say, you know, I agree with exactly what you're saying. You know, I just think hopefully we can all work together to try to find where.
Oh, it just dropped you, bro. Yeah. We just ran.
Maybe we had like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe we had like 10 seconds.
So yeah, we ran out of free time, and we don't got anything other than free time.
That's right.
But we had a.
Well, hold on, just to keep in line with him. Look, I think the heart of what we were, or what you were trying to convey, we agree with. The whole, the goal is to have an educated populace, an informed populace. The problem is we don't know how to get there. Like that's the main problem. We don't know how to actually rectify that issue. And it does have to start at the very bottom. And it has to start with actually educating our youth about what's really going on to society. Like what's been happening since the birth of the society. You know, like what's happening still right now. The people that are engaged in this scam and this corruption, like how do we change things? How do we use our vote? How do we use our civic duty to actually change the course of this country? You know, it's like we don't have that kind of structure in place right now.
And we misappropriate the responsibility as well. Like people somehow think that it's the media's responsibility to inform people. I know that it might be a very controversial thing to say, but the media has never done that. So why would you expect the media to do that, especially dealing with the fact that it's a corporate media? So why would you task? Yeah, they have the largest reach. Why would you task the corporate media to inform people? I think that's the problem. I think we can talk about the media kind of doing its best job to accelerate disinformation. I have no problem with that. We can talk about that. But the expectation for me from the media is not to inform people. If we already talk about the media kind of being one of the, I guess, prime focal points for misinformation, then I'm fine with that, but I don't expect them to somehow turn over a new leaf and start informing people as if it's their job. I wish it was like that. I think maybe that's the problem. People are looking towards mass media to inform them, and it's not going to happen. And it never has been that way, so why would people expect it to be that way? But I'm paying attention to some of the comments, even though we were paying attention to callers primarily. Schultze, you're right. In your comments about Bernie Sanders, and as well the state of the world as well, and how we have a long way to go and how we're divided. So I saw both of those comments. I'm not sure if Crush Satan is still watching. He had a couple of questions for us. I thought they were funny. I don't think they were meant to be funny, but he asked probably about 10-15 minutes ago. He says, "Are you guys funded by any political interest group?" Whoa.
Yeah.
If we're the
Our
interest
viewers.
group. Yeah. I guess, yeah, we're funded by our viewers. So
Yeah.
if that's an interest group, which technically it can be defined as such,
Yeah.
I guess, because we have patrons. We have people who, donate super chat every now and then. We appreciate that.
This operation is low budget.
I like how you said low.
Low emphasis on low budget.
Hashtag. What's the hashtag?
Broke broadcasters.
All right.
No doubt, man.
So that should answer your question. Your second question was, are you guys advocating for any particular candidate?
As of right now, I like Marianne Williamson. As of right now, I like her. If we're gonna stack them, if we're gonna stack the candidates, I like her. I like what she brings to the table more than anybody else right now. Does that mean that as of right now she has my vote? No, because I still do need to hear more from her. Even though on her website I see a wealth of information and I get to know exactly what she's about and what she wants to represent, I still do want to see more of her. And of course, right now too, she is relatively new in the political atmosphere. Okay, so she hasn't been. Her history hasn't been searched. We don't know if there's something in her history that we haven't found out yet. It's a process, and we are still very early on. But I have to say, as of right now, I do like what she brings to the table more than anybody else, as of right now. But no, we don't go stumping for people, really. I mean, we do and we don't,
But I think like that comes back to the point I made when WorldNet was WorldNet Debt Now or something.
WorldNet Now. I think.
World Debt, whatever. World Debt Now. I think that's the name. I could be messing it up. But yeah, it's like we don't really support like a body or an individual. We actually support like ideological principles. And if somebody comes along that represents that, we'll support them. So they're just they kind of represent like a conduit more so.
They're a vehicle we use to get to where we think we need to go. So that's why we would support individual candidates. But you see it like in 2016, Bernie Sanders, when he lost the nomination, he felt like, hey, we need to support Hillary Clinton. In 2016, we thought that was a bridge too far. Like we thought that we could actually do something by supporting Jill Stein. We didn't think that she would actually win the presidency, but we thought that if she actually got to 5%, that would do something very integral or very important for the Green Party, thinking about what could happen in the future in terms of this country, in terms of politics. Could we get to a place where we have more than two parties? So that's what our motivation was. If the motivation was solely we want Jill Stein to become president, so we're going to support Jill Stein to become president, I don't think we would have went there, even though what she was bringing to the table was way better than what Hillary Clinton was bringing to the table.
I'm going to give this comment preference because this is the first time I've seen this name in the chat. So I will give this comment a little extra attention because this looks like a new viewer, and it's Matt West. And Matt West says, I think you all are missing the rich history of class consciousness of the U.S., which has been eroded purposely over the past half century. I think like Matt is suggesting that we're ignoring that there's activism that addresses these issues. And I don't ignore those things. There's always been a consciousness buried deep inside of America that tries to push us forward. No one's denying that consciousness exists, Matt. I think maybe that particular comment is birthed from our commentary on the state of America and how divided we are and how conscious we are as a whole. I think that's kind of where we are. Like, we understand that there are movements, but those movements don't represent the majority of people. I think that's the point we were trying to make. So I will acknowledge that there's a definite class consciousness, but what type of class consciousness? That's kind of vague, actually, because we have a history of class consciousness, but where does that consciousness lie? Because that's kind of vague. I think maybe you're just talking about advocating for a more equitable society type of class consciousness, but we also have a class consciousness that advocates for people having more power over others. We can't acknowledge that class consciousness either. But I see the kind of the core of your argument, and I definitely don't want to, not acknowledge the efforts of groups throughout history that have pushed for a more equitable society. We're just talking about the overall scope of the electorate and like how informed they are. That's what that was about.
I wanted to briefly go back to Representative Ilhar Omar for a second. When the controversy with Representative Omar got me to thinking about Hillary Clinton, because the pushback on Representative Omar was so fierce and it was so fast and it was so strong. The simple fact that she was talking about money in politics, but it was because of APEC money in politics, right? I mean, that got just created this wave of criticism for her, right? And we know that I think it was unwarranted, and that's our position. It was unwarranted because she was talking about money in politics. It'd be no different if she was talking about the gun lobby or the gas and oil lobby, promoting military warfare lobby, private prison. It'd be no different what type of lobby she was talking about. The subject is money in politics. But again, that got me thinking to Hillary Clinton, because in 2016, when Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton were trying to get the nomination from the Democratic Party to go up against the Republican nominee, Bernie Sanders talked about money in politics a lot, okay? And it was way more than we had seen from a political candidate in recent years, okay? He actually brought that to the conversation to where it was a large emphasis, where they were actually being questions about money in politics and speaking fees and things like that. But Bernie Sanders, and this is something that we criticize, he never actually put the corruption onto Hillary Clinton. Why
I gotta be the symbol, dog? Why you gotta make me?
You here?
Man, you could have did it to the light, man. You could have did it to the light. You could have did it to the computer. You could have pulled your cup and then made this Hillary Clinton. It went like that.
I'm sorry, man. My bad, man. But he never applied that directly to her. And I remember this one time during a debate that we covered, she actually responded, and it was a very good tactic from her, because I guess she correctly assumed that he wasn't going to do it. He wasn't going to go so far as to actually say, "You are corrupt."
Oh, you kind of sounded just like you are. You kind of had that throat.
Yeah, but he didn't do that. So that's why that's why it brought back Hillary Clinton to me, because she was able to escape it. Like the media was able to like paint this lie as like, oh, well, Hillary Clinton is not corrupt. No, she's not corrupt. She's not corrupt. What are you saying? Are you saying Hillary Clinton is corrupt? And she was able to do that herself. And Bernie Sanders is backed up. Well, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about money in politics. Well, clearly, if you're talking about money in politics and corruption, you're talking about Hillary Clinton, because she has all these things.
Because what essentially does money in politics mean?
Yeah,
it's not. That's kind of a vague way of saying these jokers over here are accepting money.
But not you.
No, but not you. So when you say money in politics, that seems vague. But then when we have a face to associate with that thing, and it's not called out, because these are individuals that are contributing to, I guess, this money in politics issue. It's not like just kind of a vague principle. There's actual individuals involved, and she was that individual.
So this is, like I said, this is the same type of thing that I'm seeing with Representative Omar. Because with Hillary Clinton, it was like, how dare you? How dare you actually, like, criticize her and put the label of corruption on her? How dare you? And that was all over the place. And Bernie Sanders would not go there. Representative Omar is talking about, yeah, AIPAC. Yeah, we got to talk about money in politics. We got to talk about this lobbying Congress and how it is influential and how we have to do something about this. And the response was fierce. How dare you? How dare you call out money in politics?
And if you check out her, if you look at check out her mentions, man, because you know she got a lot of backlash, not just from her fellow representatives, but she got a lot of backlash from the public. And if you kind of look at some of the comments that were levied towards her, they were very Islamophobic. So we kind of see where this support for Israel actually comes from based on some of the responses the public has given her. Like, what is it based in? Why are people so upset about this? You see what I'm saying? If it was just a matter of like sheer politics, there would be no need to, I guess, issue some sort of disgusting takes on her religion. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? There wouldn't need to be this much Islamophobia attached to the disagreement for what she said. Right. And that's what you're seeing. She's essentially being targeted because she's advocating for the wrong group. She's advocating for the wrong group. She's being targeted because of that.
All right, so we're about to let this off. We're about to go. We had a very good show tonight, I believe. We had some new viewers. Definitely want to highlight them. If this was your first time watching LTMB Live, we hope you join us for another program. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we hope that you stay with us and that you actually join the program too in terms of calling in and using your voice, getting your voice out there. We would love to have you call in. Definitely want to thank our callers tonight. Will, we had Court, and we had WorldNet now. WorldNet now. Yeah. Definitely want to highlight you for calling in and definitely talking to us. We love sitting here, bouncing ideas off of each other and talking to you as well, but we definitely want to hear some feedback as well, even if it's negative feedback. It's feedback regardless. If you have a different point of view, we would definitely love to hear that. Maybe you could, maybe you are coming from it or coming at it from a different vantage point, and you will get our heads or our brains thinking in a different way. So we always invite people to become a part of the show. Definitely want to highlight the people that contributed tonight too to the show, and that's Fadi Antoon. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, no, I was like, I'm glad you're taking that on, boy, because I'm not saying that name.
I hope I'm saying that right. But he put a message. Actually, I don't know if it's a he. I just want to. They put a message. Democrats love to throw their own under the bus when it's to appease the right wing. They still lean to the right, thinking it'll help them electorally, and that's probably about the Representative Omar story.
I definitely appreciate that comment because that's exactly what they're doing.
Right. We also had James O'Neill, who I don't believe I've seen before.
I've seen that. I've not seen that name before.
Yeah. So maybe you're a new viewer. If not, maybe this is just
first time commenting or super chat.
Yeah, but we definitely thank you for that. And also, just a few seconds ago, Schulte, who of course we know, definitely contributed to our platform too, and said, "Glad you're getting more patrons. I'll look into that too. I always get mighty great national coverage of overall current events right here. You dudes is news, reporting rock stars. Many thanks.
Yo,
rock stars, huh?
Appreciate that.
Man, that's love.
That's love, and it definitely inflates our egos because we do have to deal with the fact that there's a big umbrella over us. Yeah. And that umbrella is that we are broke broadcasters. So yeah, I appreciate y'all, filling up our ego because we definitely need that shit. Because we broke broadcasters. So we coming out and doing this kind of almost pro bono.
Oh, true.
It's pretty much.
It's pretty much right there.
It's pretty much we just breaking even.
Yeah, the money that we are accumulating That's going right back into the platform. And the money that we have right now, we're getting close to getting another camera. And we've talked about that a few times, probably multiple times.
Yeah.
Right now, we're operating on probably the best webcam that is out there.
You know how lame that sounds? Yo, man, we operate on the best webcam, son. Y'all know how we do over here.
Yeah.
But at any given moment, the madness can end. That's true.
That's true. We've made good. You know, we've made it work these past it's going on 3 years. With probably with the same, well, not the same kind of setup, but especially the camera. We've pretty much had this the whole time. Although we did used to do it on the iPhone. Remember that?
Oh my gosh.
Woo, boy.
Yo. I wish I would have took like pictures of that. We straight up had a tripod. We had a tripod, and it was you also we used that in Philly as well.
Yeah.
You had a tripod that had you know, like the clamps.
Yeah, they had the clamp.
You clamp attached to the tripod to hold an iPhone.
Yeah.
That's what we was doing.
That was real low budget.
2016.
Yeah. But see, and the problem with that was, one, man, you had to keep the cord in because it was just draining the power. And then two, the memory on the iPhone too. I mean, you better have a lot of memory or that thing's gonna shut down. So, and then we had plans about going live, and you definitely couldn't do that with an iPhone.
Yo, must have. James O'Neal sells an iPod tripod, which it was.
Yeah,
it had an iPod, had a tripod with an iPod holster or just a phone holster.
We've come a long way, man. We got lighting now, you know. We got you know, the mixer, you know. We got software. The next thing definitely is the camera. I think that would be visually benefit. You know, it would visually benefit everybody. Yeah. I think it would come off a lot better. Yeah,
everybody needs to see like our pimples and our blackheads. True that. Everybody needs to see whatever lint is still just chilling in my hair.
I might need to shape this up like every show. Because I don't think y'all can tell I'm a little rough right here. I don't think y'all can tell that. I might have to shape this up more regularly and stuff. But yeah, man, we just appreciate all the support. Like we said at the beginning, we do see that there have been many more subscribers that have been added to the channel. Over 700 within the past like 3 or 4 days. So that's good. I mean, it's definitely good to get more attention, you know, on this program, on this channel for our videos. We just hope that, you know, that carries over and we have more people on the live stream as well, because we definitely want to add more people into this environment and hear more voices. That would maybe, you know, no, it would definitely cut into the time limit of some of the calls. I know we like to go on and on with, you know, our callers, and it's always good. We like to go on and on, but of course we won't have that much time. But I think, like I said, adding more people in would give. I think it would be better for entertainment. It would be better for information. It would be better to hear multiple perspectives.
Yes, it would. So yeah, that would be a consequence of more viewers. Most likely, there's going to be more callers. I think the most we've ever had in one night was like 5.
I think so.
Most that we had in one night was 5. So if the audience gets any bigger, and let's say we have like 7, 8, 9, 10 calls, that will affect how we streamline.
True.
You know what I'm saying? We will definitely have to streamline that process and kind of like get things going a little, you know, a little further, a little faster. I mean.
Yeah. But that's good. Excuse me. That's going to be it for this program. We hope that you enjoyed it. Hope that you learned something. We will be back in a couple days on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Definitely want to give another shout out to all our patrons on patreon.com. Thank you very much for being that backbone that keeps supporting us each and every month. Man, we could not do it without you. It is definitely humbling that you give us your hard-earned money each and every month. Like I said, we couldn't be more grateful for it. So with that, LTMB Live will resume in a couple days. Everybody take care. Have a good night. We'll see you on Thursday. All right. Peace out, everybody.